Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a new pick a card reading, and this one is all about who you are versus who you are meant to become. So that is the topic that we're going to be discussing and looking into today. If you are new to these videos, I'm going to give you a quick little rundown about how they work. So as you can see, we have 5 different groups over here. We have group 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you can take a moment, pause the video if you would like to find the pile that you are the most drawn towards. We're also going to put crystals on these cards if it helps you choose with the energy and color of crystals. So we're gonna be adding on those in just a moment. But when you are done choosing your group, there's going to be timestamps linked down below in the comment box as well as the description box so that you can skip ahead right to your personal prediction all about who you are versus who you're meant to become. So with that being said, let's go ahead and put some crystals on these cards. Okay, so if you like to choose with the energy of crystals, here are our crystal options. So over on group number 1, we have this beautiful piece of rainbow moonstone. Then on group 2, we have this gorgeous piece of lapis lazuli. And then over on group 3, we have this amethyst cluster. Then over on group 4, we have this pink opal. And then over on group 5, we have this beautiful piece of Mexican green calcite. So that is group 5. So again, you can take a moment, pause the video if you'd like from the pile that you are the most drawn towards. Then once you're done choosing your pile, then you can scroll down to the comment box or the description box to find the timestamp that is linked to your specific card so that you can skip ahead and watch your reading all about who you are versus who you're meant to become. So I will see you in your reading, and let's go ahead and get into the video. All right, so group 1, if you chose this pile, then this is going to be your reading, so let's get right into it. Okay, so group number 1, we have these 2 cards representing you versus who you're meant to become. So who you are right now is the octopus energy, and who you're meant to become is the buffalo energy. Octopus is the energy of kind of like being a little bit all over the place and not really having enough boundaries. It's kind of like we can adapt to anything, we can do anything, which is such a great energy. And this is a very positive energy because you're able to adapt to any situation. If you think about an octopus, they can fit into any mold. I don't know if you've watched those videos online about how octopuses can fit through the tiniest of spaces or cracks. You're kind of like the energy that you're able to adapt to kind of any situation and kind of just be liked in any situation, whether you realize that or not. And it's actually one of your positive traits. But another side of the octopus is that they don't have enough boundaries. And so your energy in the moment, you may be somebody who has a hard time telling people what's really on your mind. You may have a hard time setting boundaries with people and telling them, you know, what you will allow versus what you won't allow. And I think it's because you're so adaptable that you're kind of just like, oh, I'll just adapt to whatever this is. I'll just go along with it. You're really good at going along with things, which is one of your strengths because it's very positive to be very adaptable. But who you're meant to become is the buffalo energy, and the buffalo's total opposite of the octopus. The buffalo knows how to put up big boundaries. They know how to say it like it is, and they're very powerful energy. The buffalo energy is extremely powerful. And so is the octopus as well. Both of them are like very magical sort of energies, but who you're meant to become is like more of like a really powerful person who knows what they want and sets proper boundaries, and it's a very strong energy. The octopus has this very flighty energy, and if you even watch how they move in the ocean, it's this very flighty, like, you know, very like kind of, I don't know, this kind of movement, you know? And your energy is like that right now. But it can be hard to kind of like make a footprint and make an imprint in the world, and you're meant to make an imprint this is a very good energy that you have. So it's good that you're starting off as the octopus, because the combination of both of these, since they're so polar opposites, is actually a gift that you have. The fact that you're starting off as the octopus and you're meant to become the buffalo, because you're still going to be the buffalo and you're still going to have this energy of where you know how to adapt, which is going to make you a very powerful and unique buffalo energy in the future. So as you kind of mold into this new person that you're meant to become, this very powerful person. We have this lightning bolt coming down here. The buffalo energy is so powerful, and I think that you're meant to leave a big impact on the world, but it kind of seems like you haven't stepped into that energy quite yet. Maybe you're on the road to that, and maybe you're like almost there, but I feel like there's still more for you. So even if you're already really successful and you're already doing a lot and making an impact, that is amazing. But based on the cards and based on what Spirit is kind of coming through telling me, is that you're meant for even more than what you currently are. You're meant for even more than what you're currently doing. And I think you know that deep down inside. I feel like you know that because the octopuses are also very intuitive and they're very smart, because they also have this really big head, which shows that you have a very high level of intelligence. So group 1, I see you as somebody with this octopus energy who is very creative, especially because we have all this color. All the color is showing up on the octopus's head here. So you're very creative and you probably think of a lot of different things, and you're a very good multitasker as well. Just because of all the octopus legs, it symbolizes multitasking, but it does also symbolize kind of getting distracted very easily, versus when you're able to set better boundaries, all of a sudden, as you take on more of that buffalo energy and you set those better boundaries, you won't be as distracted, and your impact is going to be so much greater. Your purpose is going to become so much clearer once you're able to set those boundaries, because when we're all over the place moving in every single direction, it can be hard to know like a solid path and create a very strong, solid path for ourselves, because we're kind of like, having our feet wet in so many different areas, which it's okay to, want to do multiple things, but once it's too much, we may notice ourselves again kind of getting distracted and not being able to really hone in on a certain particular energy. And so I see you as somebody who's going to develop more into this buffalo energy, where there's a lot more determination, a lot less distraction, and a lot more boundaries in your life. And it's a very powerful, powerful energy. Like, the vision that I'm getting is like CEO, boss type of energy, where you know exactly what you want, and you're very much a leader. Even the octopuses are very independent, and buffaloes are more of herd animals, but I'm seeing like you being the leader of that herd in an interesting way. So because the octopuses are so independent, and because we also have the buffalo energy, I see you kind of learning how to lead more, especially when it comes to like the groups around you and things like that, and having a very solid vision to where, it's not like we're just going to adapt into any crowd. It's like we finally find our niche, we finally find exactly where we fit, and then we become masters of that, and we lead it, and we become very solid. It's also interesting when we have both water and earth, and they're both kind of like these upside down triangles, and then this one has a line through it. That's just kind of like their symbols. That's like the elemental symbol, but it's really interesting. We're talking about boundaries, and it's sort of like you're this same beautiful, flexible energy, but then all of a sudden you hone in on cutting away distractions. You're able to put boundaries. You're able to kind of be more upfront with people and put up walls and boundaries to the things that maybe don't really resonate with you. And so learning how to put those boundaries, learning how to put those walls where we need them. And I don't mean walls as in having walls up, because having walls up is a totally different form of expression, and it's kind of negative, right? But what I mean by wall is having certain limitations and boundaries, and knowing when to cut things off and cut things out, and to stick to your word. So when it comes to you, being on your path, and maybe we have certain distractions, or maybe we allow things to just slide once in a while. The buffalo does not allow things to slide once in a while. The octopus does, the buffalo does not. So I see you kind of letting go of those things, but still keeping this independence, because both of these cards have this independence, and they very much relate to each other in that certain way, but they're also very extremely different. So this is about having a more solid foundation as well. I'm seeing this as creating a more solid foundation for yourself rather than letting things slip through the cracks, rather than kind of, letting things going with the flow and whatnot. This is about having a much more sturdy and solid foundation. So you're kind of stepping into more of that energy. We're also going to pull a card in between both of these to kind of show a bit more about you and like who you're becoming and whatnot. So we have learning. So you're an avid learner. I'm really seeing you as somebody who's very intelligent. The fact that we have the octopus, which is extremely intelligent, and then we also have the learner card. You guys might be someone who's like interested in reading or researching or coming up with new ideas, learning new skills, trying new stuff. I'm seeing you as somebody who has like a very heightened intelligence, and I know I can hear some of you in the background being like, me, intelligent, what? But I'm really seeing you as very smart. And some of you already may agree with me on this, especially if you've sort of like self-realized it at this point. But I am really seeing this like sort of really intelligent mind that you have, to where you want to learn new things, and knowledge is actually fun for you. Learning is really fun for you. Mental stimulation is very fun for you. Creativity is very fun for you. So that's another thing that I am seeing over there. So now let's get into some of our tarot cards that are just going to reveal some more information about you and who you are. So at the moment, we have the Justice reverse cards. This is representing you in the current moment, and whenever Justice is reversed, we have a problem making boundaries, or we have a problem saying things as they are. Maybe we have a hard time telling people the truth. Maybe we like to dance around the subject, or maybe we like to over-explain ourselves. Maybe we like to sort of avoid certain topics just because we don't want to actually like have to speak what's truly on our minds. So Justice reversed, you are learning how to be Justice upright. You are learning how to create proper boundaries, tell people as it is, even if it ends up being something that's kind of piercing. You're learning how to speak your mind, because it's always better to be honest and truthful, right? And a lot of us want to be honest and truthful, but what I'm seeing in you is that there's this energy of where maybe we like to dance around certain subjects because we don't like confrontation, and maybe we don't like being harsh. We don't like hurting people or anything like that. Like the octopus, they're very gentle and they're not hard and harsh. They don't have these horns and whatnot. They're very like just squishy creatures, to be honest. So it's like I see you growing so much more of a backbone in your life in order to tell people how it is, in order to create proper boundaries. I think it's going to enhance the relationships in your life, and it's going to enhance your self-worth and what you're able to accomplish in your lifetime as you kind of step more into that buffalo energy of who you're meant to become. We also have the Ace of Wands here. You are extremely creative. Group 1, Ace of Wands, you are extremely creative. You love learning new things, doing new things. I feel like you get spontaneous ideas a lot, which may end up distracting you. This could be, part of why maybe we end up getting distracted a decent amount, is because there's a lot that you're interested in. You get interested in a lot of different things, and it's very fun for you to explore like new ideas and new topics. The Ace of Wands, you are definitely a very interesting and fun type of person. We also have 4 of Cups. This can be where we have so much going on that we know we need to finish before moving on to like the next thing. It could just mean that we have a lot going on. So you may also be somebody who's like reading 10 books at once, for example, and then you're like, geez, before buying another one, I need to like finish up these 10. Then we get kind of like, dang, but I'm like really excited about the new one now. Or we may come up with a lot of ideas to the point where we don't finish old projects. I'm seeing you having a hard time finishing projects because you have so many on the go. Or or to the point where we're making so many plans that then we're like kind of burnt out maybe, or like doing so much. It's like you have your feet dipped in so many ponds that it's kind of hard to like move forward a little bit. who you're meant to become. Oh my goodness. We have King of Swords being reversed and 10 of Crystals being reversed. There's a lot of potential here for you to become somebody who tells it like it is. And this is who you are going to become. So group 1, this is who you are slowly becoming through your experiences. They're kind of breaking you out of your shell is what I see. And it's helping you balance out your energy. Because right now your energy is way too malleable. It's way too kind of maybe distracted, and it's way too like go with the flow, easy going, and like not wanting to make confrontation, not wanting to set boundaries. It's very much like, oh, I can work with it. It's fine. I don't need to say anything. It's fine. Like I'll just, what is happening right now is learning the balance here, because you have this strong buffalo energy within you, because this is who you're meant to become. So this is already within you. Group 1, you already have this buffalo energy within you. It's just about balancing them out. It's about balancing them out. That's why we have that justice with the scales. You have both of these energies within you, but we need to find that balance. King of Swords wants to express himself. He wants to be truthful and he wants to be honest, but the King of Swords also, he knows how to do it in such a way where he knows that he's not like hurting people in the process. The King of Swords is very compassionate, but also completely honest. He's 100% honest, but in a very compassionate way, so that it doesn't like come across too harsh or anything like that. We can be kind of like a B word with our words, or we could be compassionate with our words. And in both scenarios, we can be honest, but it just depends our approach. So I see you as becoming somebody who is much more compassionate, but yet honors their honesty and their authenticity. So I see you becoming that King of Swords, and that's why he's kind of reversed right now, is because you're still stepping into that energy of that really honest, very like authentic King of Swords energy. We also have the 10 of Crystals, and this one was reversed as well. So this is going to lead you to a lot of success. I feel like your success waits just on the other side of you setting proper boundaries, being super honest, and becoming more of that buffalo energy where we are a leader. We know exactly where we're going. We say exactly what's on our mind, and we learn how to do it in a compassionate way. We also know how to set boundaries. We know how to be honest with ourselves when maybe we need to like set these boundaries, or when we need to actually express our truth. So this is about us also kind of learning how to be that really strong, tough leader when we need to be, including being that way again with ourselves as well. So I see you being that way with yourself too, and learning how to tell yourself things how they truly are, and being super honest with yourself. So very positive right there. The next card that we have Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. Ooh, okay. So you need to unchain yourself. I feel like you're almost holding yourself back right now, group 1. I think you hold yourself back in certain ways. I think you have certain thoughts because you're very intelligent. Group number 1, you are very intelligent, and you have certain thoughts, but you hold yourself back from saying them. You hold yourself back from expressing them. You have certain thoughts of where you're just like, wow, that person just overstepped a boundary, but then you hold yourself back from saying anything because of maybe either a fear of confrontation or not wanting to step on other people's toes. But it's time to start letting this go. And you are on the process of that, group number 1, because this is all about what you're becoming. You already have this buffalo energy within you, okay? And it is, you are slowly beginning to unbound yourself from being chained up and held back. Right? So you are releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. So you may have even had past lives where maybe we weren't allowed to talk. Maybe we were restrained in some way, and we could be restrained in a way of where we just, for example, back in the day, it was a custom that women weren't supposed to speak their minds. It was a custom that women weren't intelligent. It was a custom that men were the leaders, right? And so in that sort of example, if we look at it in that way, you may have had a past life where you felt a little bit repressed or a little bit held back, and then in this life maybe we just naturally have that energy. But this life you're supposed to break out of those old patterns. This life you're supposed to break out of those limitations and become that buffalo energy where we're just driving forward and moving forward. So this is time for you to just release that, because we live in a much different time that it is improving, right? For the most part. But it is slowly, we still have our issues in today's day and age for sure, but it's better than what it was. So this is like, I really see you being able to release that in this lifetime and unbounding yourself from that. And you're going to find a lot of success through that. We have that 10 of crystals, and that is one of the cards of like ultimate fulfillment and ultimate success. The next two cards, we have Dare to Dream. So this is also realizing that you can do so much more and you have so much more power within you than you realize. So much more power within you. And then we have Nature. Ooh, so who you truly are. You're also someone who is very connected to, and I mean, we're all connected to nature, right? We're literally all connected to nature. We're from nature, we're made from nature. But who you're meant to kind of become is somebody who I think spends a lot more time in nature. Maybe this is spending time with animals, growing a garden, living outside of a city, or like something like that, or traveling even can be like a nature card. So just kind of like getting yourself out there, spreading your wings, and kind of like the seed of creation. This pine cone is like the seed of creation. It's also the awakening of like unknown like skills and talents and wanting to explore those and find those. So I also see you as somebody who's going to kind of unlock more of yourself as you sort of go through life. And I'm seeing nature being like one of the things that unlocks more within you. So like spending time in nature, I feel like is something that's going to unlock more within you and help you kind of see your power and your worth. And then yeah, the Dare to Dream card is a very powerful card, all about realizing that your potential is so much greater. So let's see if we can get any other cards on this group. So group 1. Ooh, we have the Ship. So who you're meant to become. You're meant for so much more. I'm seeing travel or exploring or expanding your horizons in some way. So whatever you currently think that you're able to do, I think that ability is going to very much increase as you unbound yourself from this energy that's sort of holding you back. I think you're kind of almost holding yourself back, and you have the ability to unchain yourself at any time, but it might just feel a little bit hard. But you're in the process of doing that. You're in the process of setting yourself free. And I see you expanding your horizons more than you can even fathom for yourself right now. I see a world of opportunity opening up for you as you step more into this buffalo energy where you're much more honest. You kind of lay down the law how it is and focusing more on the foundation, focusing more on the physical, and kind of creating a very solid, reliable foundation for yourself, but also realizing that you can dream beyond. You can have a very solid foundation that is beyond your wildest dreams, right? And the heart is coming up. I'm seeing this like pumping energy through your body, getting really pumped about something is what I'm seeing in the heart, following your passions. I'm seeing like an excitement coming through about expanding your horizons and moving into more and finding something that you're more passionate about. So very interesting right there. That is what we have for you, group number 1. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I keep touching my little orchid over here off to the side, but I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos like this in the future, because I'd love to have you there. And hopefully I see you in my next one. Bye. All right, so group number 2, if you chose this pile, then this is going to be a reading, so let's get right into it. Okay, so group 2, who you are and who you're meant to become. Before we even get into the meanings of these cards, I wanted to quickly mention the lapis lazuli. So I felt super called to put lapis lazuli on your group because I was just feeling like there was this ancient Egyptian sort of kind of connection that I felt in your group before looking at the cards or anything like that. I was like, group 2 is just like lapis lazuli to me, and I was feeling lapis just because lapis is very connected to ancient Egypt and Egypt in general, and I was feeling this call of Egypt with the energy of your group. And so who you are is somebody who has, I believe, a past life in Egypt. So yeah, basically I wanted to say that at first. I just felt that Egyptian sort of connection for you. And the cards that we have that are representing who you are and who you're meant to become is the Cobra and the Hawk. And the Cobra, to me, has actually a very mystical energy. And so I'm getting definitely a mystical energy from you, group 2. But the Cobra also comes with a sense of like defensiveness a little bit, like he's prepared to attack, he's prepared for something to go wrong, he's prepared to have to use his abilities. And so I'm almost feeling like perhaps even in a past life, or maybe even in this life, you've maybe had to defend your position a lot, and maybe because of that we've become a little bit defensive towards other things and like what people say. If you think about a snake and how it uses its tongue, it's one of its like capabilities is to detect like small nuances kind of happening. And I feel like you're really aware of when somebody's lying to you. Like you can see things from far away, even with the Hawk energy, because you have both of these energies within you. That is why this is representing who you are and who you're going to become, is because you already have both of these energies within you, and it just depends on which one is dominant in that moment, or maybe we even have a balance of these energies. But I'm seeing this like heightened sensitivity towards reading people's words and being able to be very sensitive to the subtleness in their voice, to be able to detect, oh, is this person lying? Are they being truthful? And I feel like you're also very wise, especially when it comes to communication and how you speak your words. And you're very aware of how you can skew words a different way in order to have like a totally different meaning, which also makes you very intelligent when it comes to picking up on those subtle differences within other people. But yeah, the Cobra is just telling me that, but it's very mystical as well. I feel like you're very connected to mystical energies and feeling things beyond normal sensitivities of other people. Although I am getting a sense of defensiveness to where we can bite. We can bite if something is like going wrong, whether you realize that or not. Like you might be somebody who's also just like, oh my God, I would never like harm somebody. But at the same time, it's like you have this ability to really like see things for as they are, and to also like defend yourself if you need to. You have this really big power within you to defend yourself. There's also a sense of being like a little bit cautious and suspicious when it comes to other people, and that's also maybe why you have this ability to read people very well, is because you've been very like cautious and suspicious, to where you have this like heightened awareness when it comes to what people are saying to you, maybe because you've had to like learn this through like other experiences in your life. You've had to learn how to become super intelligent with words from that caution and suspicion. I also think that you have this like energy about you to where like it's entrancing. When I think about a Cobra, I'm thinking about like this entrancing kind of energy, and it's very alluring to other people because it's very mystical, it's very different. You know, it's very like almost wild and untamable, you could even say. Both the Hawk and the Snake are like very different, because the Cobra is obviously like a land creature and the Hawk is an air creature. So there's a major difference between these two energies, but they all almost fit together very well because they're both very powerful and very mystical. The Hawk, considering like who you're supposed to become, would be somebody who's able to kind of take a higher perspective on things rather than always feeling like we need to be grounded, cautious, and aware. The Hawk is this energy of like a lot of freedom and being able to use our eyes and visualize where we want to go and what we want to do and what we want to become. So I just see you being able to spread your wings, and who you're becoming is this person who's able to spread their wings a little bit more and reach distances that they never thought possible. You know, cobras, snakes, they are decently fast, but when we're talking about flying, you're able to reach way greater distances than possibly what a cobra could reach, you know? So I'm seeing you stepping into more of your power and more of your ability to fly, but it's by focusing less on the other things that are a little bit of an illusion. Another thing that we could look at within the cobra is kind of like, you know, when people play those flutes and they have the snakes in the basket and the snakes kind of listen and they get kind of entranced by the music, and it kind of is almost this illusion for them, and they're able to kind of be controlled in that way. So what I'm seeing is that sometimes there may be a problem or issue with getting distracted in your life. Maybe we get distracted with things that don't really matter. For example, like gossip would be something kind of connected to the cobra. They're very mystical and they're so powerful, but they can get distracted kind of easily. They can get pulled off in another direction because they can get lost in overthinking. So for example, you're so good at detecting subtle nuances, but then I feel like your mind, because it's so intelligent, loves to go deep into things. But sometimes we tend to go deep into the things that we're like, wait, why am I even doing that? And we almost break out of our days and we're like, why am I spending 2 hours on my phone? Why am I spending 4 hours watching TV right now? You know, maybe we came home and we're like, I'm gonna read a book and I'm gonna feel good. And then all of a sudden we're watching TV for 4 hours and we're like, wait a minute, what the frick happened? I was gonna do something else. So the cobra is this energy of you right now, this incredibly powerful, mystical, alluring energy, but can get distracted, whereas the hawk really starts to visualize and see things from a higher perspective, and he's very much like, he goes in the direction he wants to go and he gets what he wants to get. You know, he has these talents where he just swoops down, grabs exactly what he wants, and the hawk doesn't really have time to get super distracted. Like, he's there on a mission. If you think about that hawk energy, they're on a mission, they're on a hunt, right? And so this is about you kind of almost going on a hunt for what you want. And it's interesting that cobras and hawks almost have the same diet. You know, they kind of eat like mice and like rodents, small animals and whatnot. So they're so similar in a certain way, to where I'm seeing that you almost have a very particular purpose. And so what I mean by that is, like, they're both hunting the same thing. So I don't think that you're going to start necessarily hunting different stuff. I just think you're going to get way better at it. You may have a certain dream, is what I'm seeing. You may have certain goals and certain dreams, but when you step away from distraction with this cobra energy and you step more into this, you know, super like, the hawks have like supervision almost. They're really good at seeing down below what they want and what they need, and they're really good at not getting distracted. If hawks got distracted, I don't think they would be eating lunch. So whatever it is that your goal and your target is in life, whatever you desire to attain or reach, I think you're going to become so much better at achieving it as you kind of step more into the balance of both of these energies and have less distractions. You'll be able to soar a lot higher. And as you begin to just raise that vibration or step into a higher state for yourself and realize more of your power and more of your ability, I really think you're gonna be able to hone in on being more focused. And you already have this ability within you. You have the ability to be very like, focused and honing in on exactly what your target is. And the hawks are really good at achieving that. They are so good at achieving that. And yeah, both of these energies are just so powerful, and they marry each other so well. Like, imagine a cobra with wings, right? Like, they would be like unstoppable. We'd probably be pretty freaking scared of those things. You know what I mean? They could pretty much accomplish a lot because they have that venom that's so powerful and potent, which is their mystical kind of energy and their inner strength and power, but it's also kind of like a medicine in a way too. And then we have the hawk. And so with those wings, you would start soaring so much higher. So group 2, you have this very, very, very powerful energy within you, but it's about kind of getting rid of the distractions in your life in order to kind of step more into the hawk energy and to realize that you can accomplish it. You just need to spread your wings and do it. Spread your wings and do it. But stop getting distracted by the flute player, you know? That's kind of what the message is that I'm seeing here for you of who you're becoming. You're becoming someone who's much less distracted. You're becoming somebody who's much more focused and knows exactly what they want. I'm almost hearing the whispering. There's a whispering aspect in the cobra that keeps sticking out to me, and I'm asking Spirit, I'm like, what do you mean about the whispering? What do you mean about the it's like a subtle, there's something so subtle, and it's one of your gifts, and it's this it's almost like being able to say what you want and just kind of almost attract it your way. I feel like it's a way with words. There's a way with words that you have, and you may not even realize that you have this ability yet, but I think you're going to be realizing it more and more as you sort of really start spreading your wings more. Anyway, we're also going to shuffle these cards to kind of get a card right here to explain more about your energy and who you are. So let's see, group number 2, more energy for group 2. Okay, we actually have 2 cards for you that wanted to come out here. So we have peace. So you may be somebody who doesn't want to like disturb certain things. We also have calmness and peace. Wow, those ones fit in really well together. Very similar. And also it's interesting that both of these cards are blue, and we also have the lapis lazuli on your group, because that is those are very connected. That's all connected to the throat chakra as well. So something about having a way with words. Some of you may be like speakers, singers, writers, anything to do with communication and getting a message across to somebody. But I feel like it's like subtle and mystical for some reason. I'm getting like a subtle mystical vibe from you, where maybe you can end up being like very convincing and helping others in some kind of way. But anyway, with this peace and calmness, I feel like you really desire to have peace and calmness in your life, but we may have like an open eye of caution in our life. But I see you really like slowly learning how to become more at peace and more in a state of calmness in your life, rather than caution or suspicion, or maybe even fear of going for something bigger. There may be certain fears of going for something bigger. There may be certain beliefs that are like holding you back, like certain fears and whatnot that may be holding you back from really chasing your dreams. But I see you really being able to let that go, especially as you embrace more of the hawk energy, which is just being able to really visualize exactly what you want, being able to spread your wings and go for it and truly like believe in yourself without getting distracted, you know, with the cobra energy, because you have so much power within you, and there's so much potential with that power. But it's up to us to not fall into illusion in order for us to actually begin utilizing that. You know, if we're falling into distractions and illusion, we can't really utilize that big power that we have. The next card that we have is trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? Okay, so there could be certain fears around fully going, kind of like what we were saying, certain fears that may be holding you back from really going for what you truly want. So this is about learning how to trust your path, and see how it says trust. And it's interesting that both the cobra and the hawk have this cautionate and almost suspicious kind of energy. Like we might be very suspicious of things like, oh, but can that really happen? Could I really get there? Oh, I need to use a lot of caution. We'd be holding ourselves back from a lot of the things that we want out of a fear that they cannot happen, or out of a fear that it may not happen. And so we're allowing ourselves to just sit back and get distracted without realizing our true power. Like group number 2, you are so freaking powerful. We also have angel number 33 coming up, and also number 1. Number 1 is like, you have what it takes to be the leader of your path. The angel number 33, both of those added up together equals a 6, which is all about harmony. And it's also a very musical energy, and it's also an energy about family and kind of achieving what you want. And then the 3s on their own are about communication, planning, and celebrating each step towards progress, and realizing that each day that you take steps towards it and don't fall into distraction is one step closer to your goal. So trust your path. This is learning about how to trust yourself and how to trust your desires. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? You need to start stepping up and being that own support. Like Cobra, like they're so powerful. They don't need to be entranced. They don't need to be stuck in a basket waiting for a flute player, you know what I mean? So you don't need to wait for somebody else to lead you. You are so powerful on your own, right? You know, some of us might be watching a Cobra that's like so entranced by the flute, and we might be wondering like, Cobra, do you realize that you don't need to like be tamed or controlled by anybody else? You don't need to wait for somebody else to start playing your music in order for you to kind of like come out of your shell. You can, like, cobras are just so powerful. But even though I feel like, you know, wild cobras know how powerful they are, and it's really hard to probably tame them. But regardless, it seems like you're that tamed cobra right now that is so powerful, that could do so much more. So this is about trusting your path, okay? So if you knew you'd be supported, which guess what? You can be your own support because you have so much power and potential within you. And it's good to have a balance of caution and courage. Both of those can go hand in hand, and it does keep us safe. But if we have too much caution and we fully just hold ourselves back and we don't have enough courage to balance that out, we end up getting stuck. So if you knew you'd be supported, what would you do? All right, so let's get into some of our tarot cards. We have Temperance. Ooh, and so this is just like the balance of caution and courage that I was just talking about. Temperance is about balance and moderation. So it doesn't mean that we need to go full 180 and jump into every single opportunity that comes our way without thinking it through. Caution does play a role here, but it's about balancing them in a beautiful way. And this is also about balancing your Cobra and Hawk energy. We can have moments of, you know, doing other things that we like to do, such as being on our phone, watching TV. We can have a balance of doing that, but then also honing in on exactly where we want to go rather than being imbalanced and getting distracted too much and holding ourselves back too much, you know? So this is about that, finding that moderation and balance in our life, and also finding the moderation. So when it comes to our fears, when it comes to our cautions, when it comes to our suspicions and whatnot, we need to have a balance of this as well, because when we become too cautious, too suspicious, too fearful, and whatnot, we really end up only hurting ourselves in that process. Like, you know, those people that are so superstitious that they're like, I'm not going to step on a crack on the road. I am not going to leave my house. I am not going to do this. I am not going to do that. You know, they get so overly cautious, so overly suspicious that it ends up really hindering their life. So this is about letting some of that go to where we're able to expand and live our life. You know, for example, if we go and do something and we I don't know, go on a vacation or something, and let's say we get super sick and then we're like, that's it, I'm not going on vacations anymore. We're going to end up just holding ourselves back so much, especially if we like love to travel, especially if we had a lot of desire to travel before, but now all of a sudden we're like, nope, that bad thing happened once and I don't want to ever go through that again. And we end up really only hurting ourselves, because how do we expect to live our life? Do we expect everything to just go, you know, smooth and gravy all the time? Like, it's not always going to do that. We need to realize that life is going to throw curveballs at us once in a while, and that's okay, but we need to have the balance of like being able to go for it, being able to like get over those things so that we can still live, right? It's almost like not wanting to get into a car because there's a chance that you could get into an accident. Most of us take that risk almost every day, and still it's pretty rare to get in accidents, but it does happen. Right? So we can't just live our life in a box either, because that's not really living now, is it? we can't let our suspicions hold us back too much, or we end up not living. So I really think that you're becoming somebody who's able to spread their wings a little bit more, rather than kind of staying in a cautious or suspicious sort of energy or fearful energy. This is about being able to spread your wings. And I think you're slowly growing into that. You're slowly bringing in more peace and calmness into your life, where you can have a new beginning and harmonize your life. And the 6 is all about that harmony of that balance. Temperance is all about that harmony and that balance. So what I'm really seeing here is you being able to step further into that harmony and that balance. So yes, okay. And then we also have the 7 of crystals being reversed. So this is when we maybe get impatient with our manifestations or with things that we desire. So if we desire something and it's taking a long time, the 7 of crystals reversed would indicate that we're getting impatient. And this is an interesting story that I feel like sharing. So group number 2. Please listen to this, because this is like revealing very important information. Okay, so there was once a guy, this story is not exactly verbatim, but it's like, this is the essentials of the story. So there was once a guy who bought an area of land, and he bought it as an investment because he knew that there was gold ore veins underneath the land that he was purchasing, and he wanted to dig to those gold ore veins. So he invested tons of his money buying equipment to get to gold and buying the property and the land. And he was digging through the land in the area that he was supposed to find the gold. He was digging there for, I'm pretty sure it was like years that he was digging there. It was like a few years at least. And he never struck gold. And he was like, wow, I think somebody lied to me, telling me that there must have been gold here. Maybe I calculated it wrong. Maybe I was wrong about that. There must not have been gold. And so he's like, you know what? Instead of putting all this work into nothing, I wasted a lot of money investing into this. And he's like, I'm just going to quit, and I'm just going to sell it and just try to get my money back of what I invested into this. And I think he ended up like underselling it too, just because he just wanted to get rid of it at this point, because it was such a big disappointment for him that he didn't get the gold that he thought he was going to get there. And so he ends up selling it. He sells all the equipment. And this guy who bought it from him was like, jackpot, because he was sure that there was gold there. So he buys all the equipment, he buys the stuff, and he's like, wow, this is a steal of a deal for me. And so he goes there and he starts drilling in that same spot. And he only had to drill 3 more feet into the ground before striking one of the biggest gold ore veins of that time. And he became like a millionaire, possibly even billionaire, for that sort of time period. And he was rich beyond belief. And he only had to dig 3 more feet. So the point of that story, when it comes to the 7 of crystals reversed, is don't give up, because you may be thinking that your manifestations or your desires are taking a long time, and maybe we're like, it's not even worth the effort, it won't happen for me. Maybe we doubt that those seeds will ever even sprout. But the thing is, it's inevitable for them to sprout. It's inevitable that you're going to reach your goals if you move towards them every day and you learn from your mistakes. For example, if we're trying to make some seeds grow in a pot, and maybe we're underwatering it and we're wondering, why aren't they growing? Or maybe we're not giving them an efficient amount of sunlight, and we're wondering, why aren't they growing? Why aren't they sprouting? We're needing to observe, okay, why aren't they sprouting yet? And through that observation, we can learn adjustments that we need to make. So for example, if we're trying to get to a specific job or something, maybe we're realizing, oh, I need to make certain skills, and I need to learn this and this and this. You can get to your goals. The 7 of Pentacles reversed, 7 of Crystals reversed, reminds us that your goals are so attainable, but it depends on your approach, and it also depends your willpower and your determination, because if you give up too soon, they're not going to sprout. If you start planting seeds and they're not sprouting because maybe you're not giving them enough sunlight or water, but instead of looking at it in like, what do I need to change, what I need to do, and we end up just giving up on it. If we end up just looking at our seeds and we're like, well, they didn't sprout, I guess they just weren't potent seeds, they weren't meant to sprout, I guess I'm not meant to be a gardener. and then we give up. That's the perspective of so many of us when it comes to our goals and desires and our dreams. That's the perspective of so many of us. But the thing is we can observe what we're doing wrong, we can make adjustments, and we can still get to our goals. That's the secret here. That is the secret of this 7 of crystals being reversed. You can still get there. Don't quit 3 feet from your gold. You know what I mean? Then we also have 6 of Swords. So one thing that I'm seeing in you is being able to move to much calmer waters rather than being suspicious and living on a bumpy ride and being like worrisome or feeling like we can't get to our goals, we're going to need to struggle and work hard for it, or any of these kind of thoughts or feelings. The 6 of Swords is indicative that you are becoming somebody who knows how to have smooth sailing in their life. You're going to become somebody who learns how to stabilize your ship, how to stabilize your boat in order to go where you want to go. We don't have to have a bumpy ride. It doesn't have to be rocky, especially if we have the proper perspective. You know, when we're trying to grow those seeds, we could have a rocky time depending on our perspective. We could be like, why isn't this working? I am so upset. I don't understand this. This is so hard. This is so difficult. I don't get it. But that's not helping anybody. It's not helping the seeds. It's not helping you figuring it out, and it's not helping you in general with your emotional state. But instead, if we can approach a problem, such as our seeds not growing, and we approach it from the state of like, these little guys aren't growing. What can I do? How can I learn from this? Maybe I'm going to try something new today. I'm going to try doing this, see what happens. I'm going to try doing this and see what kind of progress we're making. Okay? There's so many other ways, but you know, if we start freaking out on our boat, and if we start doubting ourselves and we have like a little breakdown, the way that we're moving and everything, our energy is going to cause that boat to rock. It's going to feel very unstable, but instead if we're very calm and we're just on our boat, it's going to feel pretty chill. And we're just going to keep sailing on and making progress. So I think you're really becoming someone like that, someone with calmness and peace within them, and I think it's going to be very beneficial for you to be that way. We also have starseed being reversed. Okay, so you have this starseed energy within you. You have this energy of like being able to really achieve your desires. Group number 2. The starseed is somebody who came onto this world with such a big purpose, such a big light. I'm also going to flip this around just so you can kind of see the imagery a little bit better. But you came onto this world with such a big purpose and such a big light that you're here to really implant on this planet. You were born with desires for a reason, because you're meant to go in those directions. You're not meant to be held back. We might be raised with these beliefs of like, be more realistic. But what is realistic at the end of the day? I'm almost going to restart my camera. It's about to cut out, so hold on. Okay, so we're back. But what is realistic at the end of the day? We've seen people do things that are unheard of. Like Stevie Wonder was blind and wanted to become a pianist. Many of us, if we were blind and we wanted to play piano, it'd be like kind of like that's almost a hopeless dream, especially when we're raised with the idea of like, oh my God, be more realistic, maybe do something that, you know, is a bit easier to do and learn. But the thing is we've done the impossible. Humans have done the impossible all the time, things that we thought were impossible. We used to think it was impossible to run a certain amount of miles in a certain amount of time. I think it was like running a mile under 4 minutes or something, or 6 minutes. I forgot the exact numbers, but we used to think that it was impossible. And while we thought it was impossible, nobody ever beat that. And then all of a sudden there was one guy who was like, I'm determined to beat this record. I am determined to beat this. But scientifically we thought, oh, it's not possible because this is like the fastest that a human can run. Therefore we can never get to a mile under 4 minutes, for example. And that guy was so determined, and he ended up beating it one year. And then it was really interesting and weird that all of a sudden 10 other people all of a sudden beat that record too. Because all of a sudden, once one person could do it, once one person proved like, hey, we were wrong about that. We were wrong about that limitation. All of a sudden, all these other people all of a sudden started beating it. Whereas nobody in history was able to beat that before, because it was science that we weren't able to do that. But the humans are capable of so much more than what we are raised to believe. And sometimes we have these certain beliefs because of fears. We may not fear that we're good enough. So we may think like, why even bother trying to do blank? Because who am I to get there? You know what I mean? There's people that have come from absolute poverty and have created million-dollar businesses and are able to live lavish lifestyles. There are people who have wanted to break certain records that have absolutely exceeded and broken them. And since they did it, all of a sudden all these other people had this belief of like, oh, well, if he could do it, I guess like that proves that other people can do it too. And other people all of a sudden had an easy time doing it. So how crazy is all of this, right? So the reason why I bring this up is because you have the Starseed card here. You came here with certain desires, group 2. And your desires were not given to you in order for you to just not fulfill them. They weren't given to you for you to be mocked, is something that I say all the time. You were not given your desires in order for your desires to be mocked. You were given your desires because that is what your soul came here with, to be like, hey, to remind you your direction about why you were incarnated on this earth. Your desires are leading you. And some of those desires may be stepping stones. So for example, back in the day, I used to have a desire to go into audio engineering school and to learn audio engineering. And at first I was like, you know, maybe I'll be like a music producer or something. Maybe I'll do that. But my true desire, my truest like passions was always spirituality. But I was so nervous to talk about my spirituality. So I never even like thought of it being my career because I just didn't think it was like possible back then. And so I was like, oh, I'll just be like a music producer because I was really into music. And I started learning about, you know, sound frequencies, vibrations, how sound is created, and the fact that everything is vibrating at all times. And that was like, that's one of the Hermetic principles. And so doing audio engineering actually solidified a lot of my beliefs spiritually because it actually reinforced some of the ancient ideas that they had in like Hermetic philosophy about the law of vibration, for example. So like all of this really correlated and solidified what I truly wanted to do. So some things are stepping stones, and that's important to remember, but you're given those desires because it's part of your journey. So you may have a desire to like be a singer, for example, and maybe you're gonna like learn something really cool with your vocals, and maybe that's gonna lead you to another stepping stone, or maybe you're just meant to be a singer. You know, like there's all these different sort of stepping stones that we go on, but it's important to follow those desires because they're leading you where you're meant to go. They're leading you where you're meant to go. So Starseed, you're meant to follow these desires. They're teaching you something, but it's really important not to doubt yourself and your abilities. It's important not to be suspicious of your desires. It's important not to be like over questioning, over analyzing things. Otherwise we end up just holding ourselves back. Look, you have the hawk here, and then we have this bird spreading its wings. I'm not even sure what kind of bird that is. That looks like almost like a toucan to me or something. But look at this. This is time to spread your wings. It's time to speak your truth. It's time to honor your truth and spread your wings. You have a light within you. You have desires within you that want to come out and be realized. You are becoming the person that is able to spread their wings, to do the impossible. My goodness, that is a powerful one. We also have look at this. Oh my gosh, this could not have come for a more perfect group. Take risk. We may be overly cautious, scared to take risks, scared to really go for it, scared to believe in ourselves, scared to, you know, take a chance on something. We might come up with excuses like, oh, I can't do this because I've already started doing this. Does that mean you cannot do something? I started becoming an audio engineer and I majorly switched my career. But do I regret taking audio engineering? Hell no. That was like one of the best things I could have done in my life because it solidified so much of my knowledge spiritually, and I also still use it today. And now I make YouTube videos and I pay attention to my audio and all that. So yeah, I also make meditations. So that really helps out with creating meditations. So take risks. This is about taking risk, believing in yourself, trusting your path. Literally trusting your path. I almost forgot that we had this card, and then right as I said that sentence, I was like, wait a minute, we also had that card. If you knew you'd be supported, what would you do? What direction would you go in? Okay, so you're becoming somebody who's going to be able to trust their path so much more. You're becoming somebody who's so much more open and willing to take risks. Look at, we have the pillar coming up, which is support. This is about you learning how to also just be your own support system, not needing validation from anybody else, not needing approval from anybody else. We also have the feather. This is about spreading your wings. This is also about listening to the subtle signs, the whispers. That's reminding me of the little whispers. There's like subtle signs that are pointing you in this new direction. I feel like you've been feeling them, and that's maybe what's making you kind of confused or feeling like you're at a crossroads right now in your life. I feel like a lot of you may be feeling like you're at a crossroads because there's like subtle energies coming through where you're like, oh, I'm like subtly being pulled in this direction. And yeah, it's meant to happen. Like, this is meant to happen. We also have rose. There's something, you're blooming right now. You don't even realize your whole potential, and the rose is beauty as well. So oddly, this is an interesting message, but I feel like you're just blooming into who you're supposed to be. You're just blooming right now. There is so much more to you. Oh my gosh, I feel like self-love is blooming as well. So as you begin to open up more and kind of honor your real kind of purpose and your desires, you're blooming so much more, and it's going to cause a lot more self-love. We also have the fish coming up, which can be connected to the sign of Pisces. But the fish is also about, what is your fantasy? This is also a deep connection to the spiritual world, to the spiritual plane. So some of you may be very spiritual as well, or you may be kind of a daydreamer. You may be very creative, is the fish energy. And then we also have the trees. This is about being more stable as well, trusting yourself, trusting your foundation, and creating a very strong foundation. And the trees all grow from a seed. So guess what you could create, group number 2. You could create so much more than what you currently imagine. An idea is like a seed, but guess what? That seed can become a whole like sequoia forest. One seed can make a whole forest, not just even one tree, because the trees kind of propagate and create more trees. So one seed can become so much more than you could imagine. So much more. We believe that one seed is kind of like one tree, but it's also not, because that can create more seeds, more trees, and even their root system can expand and create more trees. So, whew, that is what we have for you, group number 2. That is your reading, all about who you are and who you're meant to become. You're meant to become so much more and expand beyond what you currently think is possible for you. So that is what we have for you. I'm sending you all of my love, my beautiful starseed group, pile number 2. Hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos like this in the future, because I'd love to have you there. And hopefully I'll see you in my next one. Bye. Okay, group 3. If you chose this pile, then this is going to be your reading, so let's hop right into it. Okay, group 3, we have some water and fire energy showing up for you. It's also super interesting because it seems like every time that I do a reading for kind of like the spiritual group, which I can just tell you guys right now because we have this like third eye, almost like bindi on the elephant, that there's a lot of spiritual energy within you. You may even have a past life in India, is what I'm seeing in the elephant card. I'm feeling mostly India, but maybe like Thailand area, like maybe even Indonesia kind of area, but mostly India. I'm really feeling like an India or even Tibetan Tibetan past life. I'm pronouncing things so wrong right now. But anytime I put amethyst on a group, and I never look at the cards that are underneath a group before like putting a crystal on or anything, and I just really felt amethyst for your group, and then I overturned these cards and I'm like, this makes total sense why we had the amethyst coming up. But one thing I can tell you right now is this card is representing who you are right now, and then who you're meant to become is this card. So who you are right now is the turtle, and the turtle is a very powerful energy, but they are in their shell. It kind of represents being in your shell. And then all of a sudden we have the elephant, which is such a big, unstoppable creature representing who you're meant to become. I'm getting that a lot of you are very psychic and intuitive, which is maybe why currently you're that turtle energy that kind of stays maybe a little bit within its shell, because you can kind of like sense a lot of things and feel a lot of things, because I feel like you're very empathic and very intuitive. But the thing is allowing this to become your power, because I'm almost seeing like my spirit guides right now are kind of like giving me a visualization of, you know, those whenever there's like a fantasy movie or something where there's like a kind of like a witchy lady or like a sorceress, or, you know, just an intuitive lady who's kind of like magical. And she like really owns her abilities, and she almost has no fears at all. Kind of like, I'm thinking of like a visualization of almost, I forget her name, but she's in like Pirates of the Caribbean, and she's that witch lady, and she's very intuitive, very psychic, very empathic, and you know, she's one of those ladies, but she is also so confident and so powerful because she's really begun to awaken and just own those abilities and uses them now as her power rather than having them almost kind of control her and make her kind of fear the world. You know, sometimes when we're really empathic and really sensitive, we pick up on energies really well, and it can make us want to hide in our shell, right? But when we grow out of that and we really start to own who we are, we own our abilities, we can kind of come out of that and become this almost like, I don't know, it's like owning your soul, becoming like a very powerful, mystic kind of energy. So I'm really seeing you owning your skills a little bit more. And even if you're not into like psychic stuff or spirituality, and that's not like a gift that you want to enhance or own, this would be talking about other gifts and talents that you have, things that you really desire doing. So if you desire to be a public speaker, if you desire to be a YouTuber, if you desire to be a writer, if you desire to be like whatever it is that you desire to be, group number 3, I see you coming out of your shell. Who you're meant to become is someone that comes out of their shell, because the more that you stay within this shell, the more that you're not going to own in on this elephant energy. You actually have both of these energies within you in this moment, which is exactly why they're coming up. But currently we are more on this turtle energy, and we're needing to kind of balance it out with becoming more of the elephant energy. Turtles are also very powerful. Their shell is one of their superpowers. It's like it really protects them. And so you're really good at protection energy and being safe, being cautious. And it's interesting that both of these animals are slow moving, but if you put a turtle and an elephant in a race, I'm pretty sure that the elephant is going to be the one that wins. Even though it's also slow moving, but it's owned its power so much, it's so powerful that it's probably going to move still faster and take bigger steps. And I think as you come out of your shell, you're gonna take bigger steps in your life, bigger movements. There's a lot more courage that you're going to have in your life. And I really think that you're gonna be able to use those intuitive abilities to your advantage. So even if you don't wanna become like a psychic or anything like that or whatever, you know, because that's, you know, it's more rare, and I'm not saying everyone with this group is going to want to become that, but you do naturally have those abilities, group number 3, and those are going to end up becoming your advantage. So no matter what direction you really want to take in life, your intuitive abilities are going to come so much in handy. So for example, when it comes to finding the person that you are going to settle down with and marry, those intuitive abilities are going to help you sift through potential partners. And it's almost like, well, I already know the outcome of this one, I know the outcome of this one. It's almost like you just feel it right when you meet somebody. You already feel whether or not that's your person or not. It's like those psychic abilities can come so much in handy. Or if you have a certain goal that you want to reach or a certain career you want to attain, it's like those intuitive abilities are going to come so in handy, because it almost makes you wake up in the morning, you're like, I know exactly what I need to do. I don't even know why I know that I need to do this, but I don't even know how it correlates to my thing, but I just know I need to do this today. And then all of a sudden you see how the pieces begin fitting together. So these intuitive abilities are going to guide you so much, but we need to stop running away from them. We need to stop being scared of those intuitive abilities or denying them or trying to turn them off. Because when we try to turn them off, we're really just saying like, I don't want my own guidance. I don't want my own guidance. But you have this internal ability. And so kind of just being able to come out of your shell and trust yourself, own yourself more. You're going to step more into this elephant energy. You are meant to become more of this elephant energy. Elephants are a sign of wisdom, and they're also a sign of good luck as well. If anybody ever gifts you an elephant, or if you see the symbol of an elephant anywhere, they always mean really good luck. And they mean kind of like abundance and value. So I almost see you kind of stepping more into your value and valuing yourself so much more. I feel like there's the turtle is giving me an energy, and although turtles are very powerful, it's giving me an energy of insecurity and wanting to keep yourself safe and boxed in. The elephant is anything but being boxed in. They're not being boxed in at all. In fact, they will step over the boxes. You know what I mean? So this is realizing your inner strength, being able to own more of that inner strength. If you feel, I got a random side message. I don't think this is going to be for all of you. It was just a random side message, so I don't know. Training your body is also going to help train your mind. So, for example, like working out and building muscle is also going to help build like your internal muscles of power and feeling more confident and coming out of your shell more. I don't know why I got that was correlated, guys. I don't know. Maybe that was a message for some of you, maybe not. I don't know, but that was a weird message that came through there. So, yeah, it's like stepping more into this fire energy as well, because the turtle, we have this water energy of like go with the flow, and again, it's very intuitive and empathic, and it's more sensitive. You're sensitive to different things. You can feel them, and I don't mean sensitive as in like crying over things. I mean sensitive as in when there's a subtle energy, you are sensitive to it. You can pick up on it. Your senses are heightened. Your senses, your sense of smell, your sense of sight, your sense of like you're more sensitive, right? So that is what I mean when I say sensitive, by the way. And then the elephant is a fire energy. So this is stepping more into your fire energy, more of that passion, that drive, that knowing, that ability. So instead of being the scared empath, it's stepping into that powerful empath that people come to you for wisdom and advice because you're very intuitive and very like sure of yourself and owning those abilities. So that is what I see you stepping more into. So with that being said, we're also going to shuffle these cards to get a card for the center here to represent more about you. So group 3, what is the card that we have to represent more about group 3? Ooh, we have this wait, is that, oh my God. Guys, what was I talking about earlier on in this reading about the fact that I put amethyst on your group and that I was shocked about that after looking at the cards here? And then all of a sudden we have the amethyst card coming up. Amethyst, as it says, is connected to sobriety and breaking old habits and breaking out of old belief systems and all that. So if there's certain habits that you want to break, if you want to break the habit of constantly retreating and going within your shell, if you want to break the habit of, you know, whatever habits that you have that you want to break, amethyst helps us do that. But amethyst is also very connected to our crown chakra and being connected to psychic abilities and being very sensitive to certain energies. Like amethyst heightens our awareness and our intuitive abilities. It's a very magical energy type of crystal. It's also a very royal crystal. And I'm getting a sense of beginning to see your value. And that is actually very connected to amethyst, because an interesting thing about amethyst is that it actually, at certain points of history, has been worth more than diamonds, amethyst. And amethyst is a very common crystal, and diamonds are actually a really common crystal as well, but they only give out so many every year, which increases their price and their value because we don't receive that many every year around the world because they only release a certain amount, so that's what keeps their value super high. But there's been points in history where amethyst was worth more than diamonds. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So with this turtle and elephant energy, you stepping more into this is you owning your value, realizing how valuable you are. Other people, you know, may value like, I don't know, some like really big, like famous people. So for example, famous people are very valued. But the interesting thing is amethyst and diamonds, it's the same thing like amethyst and diamonds. There's been points in history where amethyst has been worth more. Their commonality is almost even very similar, which is why amethyst has sometimes been worth even more than diamonds. So you cannot compare. This is a message about not comparing yourself to other people. That's what I mean by this message. Stop comparing yourself to other people. I know how hard that can be, so I may say it very easily, and I know how hard it can be to kind of stop doing that, but a huge message that I'm getting from Spirit is to not compare yourself to others, because it's like comparing amethyst and diamonds. both of them are equally beautiful, equally valuable, even throughout history, even though right now we pay more to diamonds, but it doesn't mean that amethyst is any less valuable. Both are incredibly valuable. Do not compare yourself. Amethyst is freaking gorgeous. It's one of my favorite crystals. So yeah, and it just has so much beautiful color to it and amazingness. So do not compare yourself. There's a message here of do not compare yourself, because there's no point. One of the next cards that we have the crumbling. What are you clinging on to? Ooh, and we have a lot of purple in this card as well. A lot of purple pink kind of energy surrounding you, group number 3. But the crumbling, this is time to crumble down your old shell. What are you clinging on to for safety out of fear? Are you clinging on to like a safety net? Are you clinging on to, validation of other people? Are we clinging on to, whatever it is? This is time to break habits. Amethyst is really good for breaking habits, right? Breaking addictions, breaking all sorts of things like that. So what are you clinging on to? This is time to crumble that and break it. And that's also why you have amethyst. Both of those cards are so connected. I can't even believe it. It's like blowing my mind right now. So it's time to crumble all the stuff that's holding you back. Group number 3, this is who you are. Who you are is this. You're meant to become this. You are meant to become this powerful elephant. Are elephants like scared of a turtle? Are elephants scared of much in their life? They're not scared of much. They are probably scared of some things, but not much, because they're so big and so powerful and so majestic. There's a majestic quality about them. And wow, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get into our tarot cards now. We have the 8 of Wands over here. So what do you want to aim for? What do you want to shoot for in your life? Who you're meant to become is somebody who has enough confidence and clarity to know exactly where they're going and exactly where they want to be, and hits right on target. Also the King of Wands. The King of Wands is so passionate. So there's a very passionate, creative side to you. And it's a leader energy. The King of Wands is also a leader energy. You are meant to become more of a leader energy and be guided by intuition and as well as your passions and your heart. We also have the universe coming up. The universe is at the palm of your hands, group number 3. Look at this crown chakra awakening too. We got that crown chakra energy here with the amethyst. So you're really meant for so much more. You're meant to close out an old chapter. And I think the cards right now are saying that you're on the precipice of becoming the elephant energy right now, because you are just now at the doorway of closing out an old chapter of your life and stepping into this elephant energy. Elephants are such good luck too. My gosh, they're such a powerful animal totem. So to have that coming up representing who you're meant to become is like so ultra powerful, and it's such an amazing energy. I'll explain more of it in a second. But we also have 9 of crystals being reversed. So you're meant to become somebody who's very prosperous and independent, but we might be scared of independence when the 9 of crystals is reversed. So when this card is reversed, we may be still seeking validation from others or needing, so for example, whenever we're wanting to do something and we have an internal calling, we're like, oh wow, I really want to do that, but let me find out what my friends think first. Let me find out what my family thinks first. And let's say that they're apprehensive on your new idea. You may fall back in your shell and be like, yeah, I guess they're right. Yeah, no, this is what's holding you back. This is what's holding you back is the need for validation and then the need for support. What are you clinging on to? This is time to become very independent. The elephants, they do love their family and whatnot, but they're also decently independent. They don't need saving. Well, they also do from humans, but they're their own power. They can be their own power. They're so powerful even on their own. So this is about you realizing your power. And it doesn't mean that you need to be so independent where you don't have friends and you never ask them anything. I'm not saying that, but it's about not requiring validation, still going for what you want because you want it. That's the only reason that you need, right? We also have the 10 of Wands coming up. So the 10 of Wands is when we're taking on a lot more than we can chew, and maybe we take on a lot of other people's problems because maybe we're very empathic and we tend to feel problems of other people. So we end up kind of taking that as our own responsibility, like, oh, this person's feelings is my own responsibility, or this is my own responsibility. This is kind of realizing more of your independence and living your life for you. Of course, our purpose can still be of helping people, but we need to put ourselves first. It's kind of like when you're on an airplane and they say, put on your own mask before assisting others. It just makes sense, because how can you help somebody else if you're lacking oxygen to the point where you black out? You know what I mean? So they always say, put on your own mask first before assisting others, because we cannot assist others if we end up passing out in the process, if we end up not caring for ourselves in the process. So there's a big message here as well of take care of yourself before helping others. Okay, the next, oh wow, we have a sacred destruction coming up, and we also had the crumbling, which is basically this oracle card's version of sacred destruction. So this is time to destroy old belief systems. This is time to destroy other walls that we've had up that have been holding us back so we can become our elephant. You're like literally an elephant that's trying to trap itself in a tortoise shell. Very difficult, very tight in there, and it feels kind of restrictive. So this is time for you to destroy that, because you're growing into so much more. So much more. Okay, we also have reclaim. Reclaim your power. You are so much more. Group 3. We also have manifest. What do you want to manifest in your life, group 3? Because all I can say is the one thing holding you back is the shell. The shell can be a beautiful form of protection, but we need to know how to use it and not overuse it, right? We can't overuse protection, otherwise it becomes limitation. We still need protection, but when we overuse it, it becomes limitation. So let's see what else we get here. So group 3, what other cards do we have for my lovely group 3s? All about who they are, who they're meant to become. Let's see. Let's get one more card representing who you are right now. Okay, we have these cards representing who you are in the moment. We have grape. So you have so much more potential than you realize. Grapes represent abundance. There's so much more to you than you currently realize. So much more abundance. We also have hands. So you are somebody who I think loves to help people. You love to give a helping hand. But I do, again, because we have the Ten of Wands, think that there's a message here of like helping yourself before helping others. I think that you're meant to kind of like help people this lifetime. You're meant to kind of like do something to where you're uplifting and motivating people in some way. And then we also have cloud. Clouds are kind of like the emotions that we're hanging on to. I think that like because you're very empathic, you feel a lot of things. And I'm seeing this as not letting those clouds follow you around. So for example, if you're empathic and you're feeling something that's maybe causing you to desire going back in your shell. So if you feel something when you're out and about because of those empathic abilities, this is a reminder of not letting this cloud follow you around. If you feel something intuitively and it's bothering you, we don't need to let it follow us around for the rest of the day. We don't need to let it follow us around constantly. We need to learn how to begin letting go a little bit more. Okay, so let's see who you're meant to become. Group 3, someone who's working hard. We have the hammer energy, so having a mission and working towards it. Fixing things as well. I think you're a natural fixer. We also have lobster. Lobsters, are interesting because they almost don't have an age limit. They don't have like an expiration date other than when they kind of get eaten or run into other troubles that end up killing them. But an interesting thing about lobsters is they're almost like an eternal animal, and if you give them almost perfect conditions, they'll just keep going. They'll just keep living. So one thing that I'm seeing in you is seeing not letting time stop you. The message in the lobster that I'm getting is not letting time stop you. I think Spirit's coming through to tell you, don't let time stop you. Don't let time be a factor. If you think that you're late on something, like, oh, I can't do that now, I'm getting too old. Don't let time stop you. The lobster's coming up as a reminder, because the lobster energy, they don't have an expiration date. So this is a reminder that you don't, like, of course, as humans, like, we do have our time that comes to us. But for some reason, Spirit's wanting to give you the message, don't let time stop you. Don't let time stop you. We also have the feather coming up, and this is listening to the subtle energies of the universe. There might be a subtle sign or a subtle feeling that you have within to like do something and to go towards something. And the feather is a reminder to go for it. We also have the tree coming up. That one came up for the last group as well. And the tree is about realizing that when you plant a seed, we don't realize that some tiny seed can become a whole forest, because that seed will sprout into a tree. That tree will create more trees. One little seed can become a whole forest. So whatever seed of an idea that you have right now can become so much more than you realize. It's about putting that effort in and not letting time stop you, not letting time scare you away. When we let time scare us away, we won't accomplish what we set out to. So that is what we have here for you, group number 3. You're meant to become so much more. You're meant to become that strong elephant energy. So hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos like this in the future, because I would love to have you there. And hopefully I see you in my next one. Bye. Okay, group 4, if you chose this pile, this is going to be your reading. So let's get right into it. Okay, hello my creative daydreamer group. We have the dragonfly and the nightingale. So this card represents who you are, and who you're meant to become is this card. So basically both of these cards are related to the air signs. So some of you may be Geminis, Libras, or Aquariuses, those of you that chose this group, just because we have just a lot of air kind of energy going on here. But even if you're not, this still totally applies to you. But your purpose on this world is to spread a message. You're here to spread a message and to express yourself in a creative way. Also, both of these cards are very fantastical, and some of you may be really into fantasy, or you may be really into like daydreaming, or you may have a very creative aspect of yourself. So there's a creative part of you, and I think that you're a big thinker too, just because the air signs are about your mind and being able to be very intelligent and being curious, absorbing information, learning new things, but it's also about expression and vocalizing. And as you can see, the nightingale is even vocalizing. So we're gonna get into who you're meant to become in a second, which is very powerful and very fun and very kind of exciting. I'm really stoked to get into that one. But let's talk about the dragonfly for a second. So this is who you are in the moment. The dragonfly has a tendency to get a little bit distracted and jump from flower to flower, because they're not really as sure of their direction. They're just like flying here, they're flying over there, and they're just kind of enjoying their life. And so you're somebody who I think you get very curious, you get very interested in a lot of different things. You may also fantasize a lot about different ideas. You may get lost in fantasy, and there's a magical essence about you though, and I think that's why you're attracted to fantasy and magic, or being very creative, or being very attracted to like music, for example, or film, or other sort of creative things, because you have such a vision. You have a talent for visualizing things, and you have a talent for seeing things in a very magical way, which means that you have this ability to also portray that energy, because I think you're very good at looking at things in a visual way. Because I'm seeing a lot of visual stuff. I'm also seeing a lot of vocal stuff, but I think you're also really good at just imagining. So you're also somebody who's really good at imagining yourself in a certain scenario, or seeing things from a different perspective. You're really good at observing stuff and being like, this is exactly what I like about it. This is what I don't like about it. This is what I would do differently to make it even better. Like, you're really good at seeing things in that way. So you have a natural talent for that. But again, the dragonfly kind of doesn't realize his own ability to actually fully immerse himself and do that. Some of you may already be doing something like that. So some of you may already be doing something creative, but I think that there's an energy of what you're meant to become. You're meant to become this nightingale, and some of you may already be on the way to this. So some of you may already have some of this nightingale energy kind of going on, but the nightingale is the dragonfly, but it like has fully become and spread its wings and realized its like true power. So rather than kind of just buzzing along from flower to flower, the nightingale has a message that they're ready to open up their mouth and express it. The dragonfly is interested in learning. So early on in life, you're somebody who's interested in jumping from flower to flower because you're interested in diving into so many different things. You're like, ooh, this is really interesting. Oh, that's catching my eye. Oh, that's really interesting over there. Ooh, I want to study that. Or ooh, I want to look into that. You have such a knack for seeing those things and being very curious in this dragonfly energy. As you accumulate all of that, though, you're going to become the nightingale. The dragonfly is jumping and experiencing things. So in early life, you are somebody who's going to jump into things, experience things, dive into like new information. And then as that all accumulates, as you accumulate all that you've learned, the nightingale then is the energy of expressing that. You could see them opening up their mouth, ready to share a message, ready to express something. The nightingale is very connected to music as well. So some of you may be very drawn to music, singing, writing lyrics, poetry, writing in general. Writing is also a form of expression, whether that be writing a book or anything along the sort, or expressing yourself, being a public speaker, a motivational speaker, being a content creator, anything along the lines of this, because this is all about the expression of something, spreading a message. So you have a message to send, whether that just be the message of creativity, whether that be a message of love, motivation, emotion, whatever it is for you. It does look like you are meant to become more of this nightingale energy. You're meant to have a deeper message that you're meant to sing. And, you know, it's perfect that you're starting off with the dragonfly energy, because it's so curious and it's jumping from all these different areas and all these different places, but it's accumulating so much along the way, so that when you have a message to share, it comes from the place of knowing all of these different aspects. If we're only coming from one place, it'll be hard for us to relate to a massive amount of people. But with the nightingale, they're able to express themselves to a mass amount of audience, because the dragonfly, they've touched all these different flowers. They understand all these different aspects, and they're able to spread a wider message. So I'm almost seeing you spreading a very wide message in your lifetime, group number 4. So some of you may be interested in having a career that may not be like your typical type of career. It may be something where we're spreading a larger, wider message across to people. So there may be like just a deeper purpose that you have, or maybe you just desire to do something on a bigger scale at some point in order to maybe spread awareness or spread a message or speak about what you know. So it looks like that is going to be a big part of who you are, and who you're meant to become is a deeper expression. I do think that you're a forever learner, because you have a forever curiosity. And even when you become the nightingale energy, you'll still have this dragonfly energy as your baseline energy, right? So you're going to have both of these. So with that being said, I wanted to get into some more cards. Basically, we're going to get a card for right in the center to explain more about who you really are, like who you is. What is a card that can explain our group number 4s? So let's see, Spirit, let's get a card for my group 4s. Vibrancy. Ooh. Wow. So I'm seeing a lot of color for some reason, and color can take a lot of forms. It can talk about the emotions that we're expressing. It can talk about beauty, like being interested in something vibrant, but you have a very vibrant energy. You draw people towards you. You're meant to go into multiple colors. I'm seeing a very like wide range spectrum of colors within your aura, which means you just have a very well-rounded, like well-faceted life. It's not like you want to just learn one subject and end yourself there. I really feel like you're somebody who's just, you have a large curiosity, and you're here to live a more vibrant life. I think the average lifestyle looks a little bit mundane to you, group number 4. Like, for example, just having a very average like 9-to-5 job, coming home, making dinner, and then reading your kids a book to bed, and then going to bed. That kind of lifestyle, although it's beautiful in its own way, it's so beautiful, but at the same time, you're also somebody who, I'm seeing you as very vibrant and a little bit more out there, a little bit more even eccentric, and a little bit different. So for example, you could take the average lifestyle, but you're someone who's like, let's add a little bit of like pizzazz to the average life. Let's, have a job where I'm traveling and I'm taking my kids traveling and they're coming along with me and they're doing this. Like, you're someone who is a little bit more like wanting to add a bit more color to life. You're not wanting to just live the black and white, right? You're wanting to create more. And I feel like you really want to put more color on a painting. So even our world today, I feel like you are someone who wants to like add more color to it, add more joy to it. I think your message that you want to share is helping people live more joy is what I'm seeing, like adding your bit of color, your splash of color to the world, rather than kind of doing, you know, the foundational stuff. I really see you as somebody who's like, no, I want to do the extra stuff. You know, you're not the one who wants to lay out the concrete for the foundation. You're the one who wants to decorate it once it's all done. You know, you want to add the vibrancy. You're more of a vibrant type. You have a very strong visualization type of mindset where you're able to visualize the potential of something. So if you're given a blank canvas, you're like, ooh, that's exciting. You're not somebody who wants to make the canvas. You want to paint the canvas. You want to put the color on the canvas. That is your type of purpose, and you're meant to kind of become more of that. Although I think you're also someone who's intelligent enough to know how to make their own canvas, especially when you need to make your own canvas in order to paint on it. And I think that's one of the lessons that you would need to learn in order to find a lot of success. Group number 4, because a lot of the time when we have a lot of air sign stuff, we have a big imagination. Air signs, big imagination, big mind, lots of intelligence. But when it comes to actually creating a foundation in order to do something, that's kind of where we get stuck. So a lot of the times I notice people with this vibrant sort of energy, we're constantly waiting for the canvas to appear that we can paint on. But one of the secrets to your success, group number 4, is to learn also how to make the canvas so that you can begin painting now. So your mission, like a sense of advice that I would definitely feel like Spirit is like trying to tell you right now is, don't wait for the canvas to come. Make your own canvas so you can start living your purpose now. And I know because you're like this really vibrant person, making your own canvas might not sound that fun to you. It might not sound that fun. And what I mean by making your own canvas, it's a metaphor for making your own foundation, doing the mundane work. So for example, if we want to have a business of like, you know, or I guess we could use this in the example of like making music. If you want to be a musician, we can't wait for a record company to find us before we start making music, because how is a record company even going to find us before we're making music? You know what I mean? So if we're waiting around for that, it's like we need to work on the nitty-gritty stuff first. We're going to need to be our own creator. We need to create this life, all of it, rather than just waiting to do the vibrant parts. That is where you will strive and have your excellence, is within those vibrant parts. But we may need to first create our own foundation in order to get ourselves to the point where it kind of creates itself, right? So that is the key here. The next card that we have for you is this. We have the Starseed card coming up for you. That's so crazy. We had that coming up for another group, but from a different deck. But yeah, anyway, I cannot believe how often Starseed is showing up. So Starseed, what lights you up? You are somebody who can offer a lot to this world, group number 4. I'm seeing so much creative energy within you because you're able to really visualize. You have a big imagination. And I bet you as a kid that you had one of the biggest imaginations out of your friend group, is what I'm kind of seeing. And you came here with a mission. We're all star seeds, right? But you really came here for a mission, and this card's coming up to ask you, what lights you up, group number 4? What sets your soul on fire? It is time to begin doing that even more. And I'm also hearing that don't feel like you need to be a forever learner. Don't feel like you're not good enough. Don't feel like you keep having to jump from flower to flower before you're able to share a message. I'm really hearing like it's time to start bringing that message out and learning along the way, because there's never going to be a point in life where you feel like you've learned enough. Even the masters of their craft could still learn more, is the thing. So if you feel like you want to share a message, if you feel like you want to do something, if you feel like you want to do something, if you feel like you want to decorate homes, for example, and you're like, I don't know enough, well, you're going to learn more along the way, but it doesn't mean you need to hold yourself back in the current moment. You can begin starting now, and that's also what's going to help you learn, because trial and error, right? So if you even start right now, that's going to be amazing. You're going to have trial and error. Even the people who've gone to school for 10 years still will have trial and error and need to figure stuff out. So what is holding you back? What is holding you back from expressing your message? And even if you already feel like you are expressing a message, I feel like we could take it still a step further and still learn more and go back to the roots of like being curious and learning more, because it's going to expand your message. So what lights you up, group 4? What sets your soul on fire? It's time to immerse. Add the vibrancy to it. It's time to begin, okay? So with that being said, let's get into our tarot cards here that we pulled for you. So we have the Emperor being reversed. There's something here in the current moment where you don't see your truest potential or your truest worth. You may look up to other masters, for example, other nightingales, and you may be looking at them being like, wow, if only I could be that way. And you might still be in the stage of your life where you're studying the other nightingales. You're studying the other masters that you look up to, and you're wondering, okay, how can I be that? And you're still accumulating information without realizing that you could be one of those right now as well, right? You know, maybe there are still people that know more than us. Of course, there's always that, right? But it doesn't mean we cannot begin our own journey right now as well. We can still look up to people, but we don't need to wait and hold ourselves back until we're masters. The only way to become a master is to do. We cannot become a master through observation solely, right? There's never going to be a point when you observe so much that you're a master. There's no point where you're going to observe painters for so long to where you could paint like Picasso or Leonardo da Vinci. You could watch them paint for hours and never become at their level. It's because you have to do, you have to practice, you have to get out there, you have to start actually doing it. So a message that I'm hearing for you is who you're meant to become is the nightingale. You're meant to become that person that you're looking up to so much. You're meant to become like that, but the only way to get there is to step more into the nightingale energy of beginning to do it rather than just fantasize about it. You are deep into fantasizing about it and looking up to the nightingales, but the thing is, the crazy thing is you are also a nightingale who's able to express it and do it and be it. That's the like paradox here. That's why we have the Emperor being reversed. The Emperor would be upright if you fully saw your worth. It's, you know, the fact that we have a lion on here, it's reminding me of this photo of I don't know if you guys have seen that meme or you know what, actually a better story of the lion. There's a story of a lion that was a lion cub and he wandered off and lost his parents, and he found himself in a herd of sheep, and so he started following the herd of sheep, but he was a little baby, and so then he was raised by sheep, but he was a lion raised by sheep, and he was constantly scared of other lions. He was constantly scared of, you know, even like the other things that sheep are scared of that lions should never be afraid of, but it's because he thought he was a sheep because he grew up by sheep. So for you, it's like needing to realize your truest potential. You have so much more potential within you. You are one of those emperors. You feel like you're not one of those emperors, but the secret is that you are one of those nightingales that you look up to. You are the people that you look up to. There's no difference between us and them. You literally are them. You're a human just like me and you. Like me and you are humans. We're the same. You know, like I love you already for being here and being with me on this journey and even clicking on this video. Like, thank you. But we're the same. We have the same potentials. You could easily be in my position. I could easily be in your position. It's how you view yourself, right? You may even be in a bigger position than me. You know what I mean? You may be watching this and you're just like, who knows? It's just whatever hierarchy that you have in your own mind. Get rid of your own hierarchy and realize that we're literally all the same. That's the message. We're literally all the same. So realize you are the Emperor, my love. You are that, okay? So I'm going to leave this card upright, even though it came out reversed. I'm leaving it upright to show you that you are this Emperor, okay? We also have the Three of Wands. This is about embarking on that journey. So the Three of Wands is when you're already on a journey. I feel like many of you have already kind of begun this journey, but maybe you still slightly doubt yourself or question yourself, which is normal. I mean, I still question myself sometimes, so it's like totally normal to question yourself. And it also keeps us humble and it keeps us learning. So there's nothing wrong with questioning yourself, but it's also realizing and having enough confidence to keep moving forward. And in order to keep moving forward, we do need to have that confidence in knowing, like, I know that I have a message to share and I know I want to share this message and I know and have the idea of where I want to get to. So I just need to keep trusting myself and going in that direction. Okay. And then we have the Three of Crystals. So we have double threes here. Threes deal with planning. Threes deal with communication, networking with the right people, and you don't even need to know the right people. Look, we also have another three over here with the 21. That's another three, so we have like triple three. So your part of your mission right now to step into the nightingale energy is to plan, to learn, to communicate, to network. This is about collaboration. So how can we learn through what other people have done? We don't necessarily need to know all the right people before we can get started, but what we can do is like pick up a book on somebody who, is in a position that we want to be in and read what they have to say. Study how they got there. Google how they got to where they are. What is their story? How did they get there? And we can learn from that and emulate some of the key lessons and the key pivotal points for them, right? Then we also have the Nine of Wands being reversed. So we may be scared because of disappointments in the past. The Nine of Wands is when we've been through battles, we've been through obstacles. When it's reversed, we may be apprehensive and scared to go back out there because maybe we've been disappointed and hurt in the past. And we're restricting and putting up a lot of walls so that we don't get hurt. But the thing is, in order to get where we want to go, we need to take down those walls and begin moving forward. And the Nine of Wands reminds us that we need to keep going. And, a good example to kind of explain the Nine of Wands energy is being disappointed or hurt in love, and then all of a sudden we start guarding our heart. But how can we fall in love and find a partner? Like, let's say that our mission is to fall in love and have a partner, but we've been hurt, so we're like closed off. How do we plan to fall in love again if we're so closed off that we're not willing to open up? In order to fall in love again, we do have to take that risk of getting hurt again. But getting hurt again does not mean that you're not going to find your end love and your beautiful love and the end result. We learn from each of our sort of obstacles and challenges. We learn from all those. So even if you do end up getting hurt again or disappointed, it's not the end of your journey. We can still keep going. And of course, easier said than done. I realize how hard that can be, especially when we get disappointed. But at the end of the day, we have to realize, how much do you want that end result? Because if you want it that bad, we're going to end up putting our heart out there. We're going to end up putting our heart out there. And it's such a beautiful thing. If we think about the end result of love, it's so worth it. It's so worth the journey. If you think about the end result of where you want to be and what you want to become and what you want to create in this world, my group number 4 it is worth the journey. It is worth the hardship that we may have to endure along the way. And all those hardships end up teaching us something in the long run anyway. So even if we have hardship within love or within trying to attain a goal, all of that hardship does end up teaching us really valuable lessons along the way that'll actually build you in who you need to be in order to even attain what you're trying to find. So if we're trying to find the love of our life, but we're needing to learn proper communication skills within a relationship, we're going to find partners that issue gets highlighted. And sure, we may get hurt and disappointed throughout that process. And we don't need to be perfect to find love either, but if we have some major kind of issues, we will notice that those get highlighted. But if we are able to work on them and get over them, that is where we're going to learn and grow. And then we're going to create that end result in love. We're going to end up creating that, but we need to keep going. We need to keep going. And there's certain things that, yes, maybe we need to leave behind a certain partner. Maybe we need to leave behind a certain job because maybe that one just wasn't the one, but we learned a lot from those situation, and then we move on and find somebody else. Or maybe we just work through those problems in that sort of thing, but it's different on a case-by-case basis, right? But it's not having the fear that holds you back, not allowing that fear to stop you from getting your end result, okay? So, with that being said, let's get into the next 2 cards. We have surrender coming up. This is about taking down those walls, the exact topic that we were just talking about having walls, that we need to maybe surrender to it and realize that when we have these brick walls up, when we're fearing failure, we end up failing anyway because we're not even going for it. We're creating the failure by putting up walls because we can't get to our end goal with walls up. So we end up creating the hardship. We end up creating the failure by doing that. It is a protection mechanism for sure, but it also ends up stopping us, and it does end up creating that failure. But when we surrender to it, when we surrender to, you know what, if hardship is there, I welcome it. If lesson is there, I welcome it. Because that's bringing you to your journey. We have to keep going forward. And guess what? You do get to your end result, but we need to surrender to it. Hopefully that's making sense, by the way. We also have the card here of get creative. Ooh, embrace your creative side, group number 4. You have a big creative side, so when you're going through hardship, that's a time where you can utilize your amazing creative abilities to get over that. And there's gifts coming your way. I think anytime that you go through a hardship, group number 4, there's a gift waiting on the other side of that for you. It's going to boost you in some way. So this is a message to embrace all the lessons in life, all the things that come your way, because it's all creating you into who you need to become, and it's also giving you blessings along the way. And even though you don't see it maybe in the moment, it can be hard to see those things in the moment. That is what it is. It is giving you blessings that you need along your journey, even if you don't see it at that time. Ooh, and then we also have transmute. So transmute that energy. So the worker bee, any hardship that you go through, you can take something and create it into something physical. So for example, bees take the nectar of flowers and turn it into honey. So the worker bees, they're creating something physical. They transmute the energy of something. So you can take a harsh lesson and transmute it into something amazing. So for example, just an easy example that came to the top of my head is like a singer, for example. They may go through a really harsh experience in their life, and maybe they're like trying to become a singer, they're really trying to do it, and then all of a sudden they experience hardship and love, and their love of their life broke up with them, and then they're like, wait, what? This is crazy. For example, the type of blessings that I'm talking about is like, this could have been part of your journey, right? And I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen to you, just to clarify. I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen to you, but for example, there's a lot of examples of singers going through something like that, and then they create the top hit of their life, the top song of their life, because of what they emotionally went through. And I'm not saying that that's exactly what's going to happen to you, but I'm not saying you have to lose love in order to get where you want to go. That's not the lesson I'm giving you, okay? That's not the lesson. I'm just saying, for example, when we go through hardship, it can sometimes be a blessing in disguise, is the message I'm trying to give you. We don't need to lose love to get where we want to go. We don't need to lose our job to get where we want to go. It's really a case-by-case basis and the journey of our personal story about how we are unfolding. But you'll realize that everything that you go through is a blessing in disguise, okay? So that is the message Spirit wants to give you. So don't fear hardship, because it'll end up being a blessing in disguise, and it does not mean that you cannot create the love of your life. It does not mean that you cannot get to the biggest goal of your life. It is just part of the story. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our last few cards, all about who you are and who you're meant to become. Ooh, look at this armor, protection mode. This is something to tell you, you are safe. You are already safe. But when we wear so much armor, when we're guarding our heart, who can access it? Nobody. Nobody can get to it. So we cannot overly guard ourselves, but we can create boundaries. Boundaries help us keep ourselves safe, but we need to have reasonable boundaries to where it doesn't become a wall, it doesn't become armor, right? Ooh, and then the Sphinx, the magic. Guys, okay, so as you let this armor down a little bit and you begin kind of really going for what you want to go for, and you know, some of you may be fearful of fully putting yourself out there, is what I feel. Fully putting yourself out there, putting your message out there. Some of you may doubt yourselves, doubt your message, doubt your ability, or doubt that the future that you truly desire really exists for you. You may doubt yourself in some way. Do you ever have magic? Once you begin opening yourself up and letting that fear go, that is when the magic is going to start flourishing. That is when the magic is going to start coming out, group number 4. Wow. We also have house, so your protection, your walls that you put up, okay, for safety. If you create a strong foundation with strong boundaries, you won't need to be in protection mode. There's another message about that. The moon, you're also very intuitive, and it's time to start trusting yourself, trusting your path. Trusting your path, we have the pathway next, so that kind of reiterates that same message. We also have lizard. Lizards they're very strong in getting what they want, and they're also a symbol of manifestation. So if at all throughout this reading you've needed a symbol of manifestation in your ability to do it, the lizard is the card of you do have the ability to hone in on that energy and do it. It's also a message, lizards are also a message about fear coming into your life as well. So I wanted to touch on that too. You have the ability, you may fear screwing things up, or you may fear like, there's a fear here. And lizards, they kind of like, some of them at least, lose their tails when they're scared, and they'll leave their tail behind and then go run away in order, as a protection mechanism. And it's a really good protection mechanism for lizards, and it allows them to survive probably a lot longer. So a message that I'm getting for you within that is realizing that you're already protected and you have the ability to protect yourself. Of course, you're not going to go drop your tail anytime soon. I mean, we don't even have tails to drop, but like, you already have the ability to protect yourself and to choose when to walk away from something that is not for you. Okay, and then we also have the ocean, the ebbs and flows of life, remembering the ebbs and flows of life. We all need to have the ups and downs. And I know this is probably a very cliche message. It's like, yeah, I get it. Like, we all have the ups and downs, of course we do. But it's all leading you to where you want to go, any direction that you want to go in. This is leading you there. This is all part of like the grand picture of things. And if you could see how it's really working out for you, you'd understand it and jump right into it 1,000 times. So basically the message, you are becoming so much more confident and able to express yourself, is who you're meant to become. You're able to take all of this creativity and express it to the world and fully own your abilities and trust yourself and realize that you have the ability to do it now. You don't need to wait till you are a master, because again, we cannot become masters without doing. So that is the message of who you are right now, who you're meant to become. And I see you becoming somebody who's able to spread a very large message to possibly more of a massive group of people, is what I'm seeing within the Nightingale. So it's just about trusting your abilities, surrendering to those fears and not allowing them to fully hinder you. And of course, we're gonna all have fears throughout our lifetime. There's no getting rid of all of them, but life is that process of getting over those things, of getting to our goals. Life is the constant process of that. That's why we have the ocean. The ocean is constantly working for, these waves and like going for it. And it just constantly is in that motion. So part of our life is being constantly in that motion. So hopefully that makes sense there. Group number 4. Hopefully you enjoyed this reading. Hopefully it applied in some way. Hopefully you got some advice or wisdom out of it from spirit. So I am sending you all of my love. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos like this in the future, because I'd love to have you there. And hopefully I see you in my next one. Bye. Okay, group number 5. If you chose this pile, then this is going to be a reading all about who you are and who you're meant to become. So let's get right into it. All right, group 5, here's your cards. So we have the bear representing who you are right now, and then the unicorn representing who you're meant to become. So with the bear, let's talk about who you are right now. The bear is somebody who may find it hard to get motivated. They may kind of walk with a certain heaviness to them. They may find it hard to kind of move forward to where they want to go. They may feel like sleeping a lot, hibernating a lot. So if you relate to any of this, this is kind of representing the energy of who you are right now, but you have the unicorn as who you're meant to become. And the unicorn is a very powerful energy, and it doesn't even relate to a certain element, and we can see the horn coming out of the third eye. So you're meant to have like a whole awakening, and you actually have tons of energy, but the unicorn is also a symbol that your mind is where you're going to find your most energy. So you're very creative within your mind. You actually have tons of creativity within you, but the bear is someone who wants to remain practical and maybe isn't much of a dreamer. The bear energy is not much of a dreamer and much more of like a sleeper, and finds it hard to move, finds it hard to get motivated. Who you're meant to become, though, is somebody totally different. The unicorns, they fly, they're magical, they don't even have to think twice. They're constantly moving to the point where you almost can't even find them. They're so mystical and so magical. But the crazy thing about the unicorn is, I know you're watching this right now being like, especially if you relate to this bear energy right now, I know that you are watching this being like, this does not exist. I am not the unicorn. I'm not somebody who's gonna, like, I've tried to get out of bed, I've tried to get motivated, I've tried to change my life, and you're probably watching this being like, that doesn't make sense for me. I don't know how I'd become the unicorn. But that's actually the message of the unicorn, which is crazy, because the unicorn is the energy where people always look at the unicorn and they're like, well, that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. So you might be listening to this right now, not even seeing how it could be possible for you to be the unicorn energy. And that is the beauty and the secret of the unicorn energy, because it's it's doing the impossible. The unicorn is telling you that the impossible exists for you. The stuff that nobody could ever believe in, the stuff that even I telling you this right now could never even convince you of, you are capable of. And you're meant to become that energy. You're meant to defy the impossible. You're meant to get over the impossible. So even if you're in a space right now that actually feels impossible and it feels hard to get motivated and it feels hard to move, it's that heavy bear energy. You're in that heavy bear energy, maybe bearing a lot of things right now, right? Feels like we're carrying a lot. It feels like we're bearing a lot of weight. So you are meant to defy the impossible in your lifetime, group number 5, to the point where people are astounded at that. And, you know, if you saw a unicorn right now, you would literally probably be like, what? Like, what? That must be fake. It must not be real. If I could show you, and that tells me that if I showed you the person that you're meant to become, you would be questioning it, being like, is this fake? Is this even real? I do not believe it. I do not even see it. You would try to shove it and deny it, just like the unicorn. You are meant for so much more, and it's so different from who you are right now or how you see yourself right now. And the interesting thing about the bear energy is I don't want to make the bear energy seem all blah and bad, because the bear energy is actually a beautiful energy on its own. Bears are also really attracted to sweets, and that's coming through right now. They're really attracted to eating honey and sweets. So if you relate to that, which I feel like, I mean, honestly, like most of us relate to that, but I'm hearing that with the bear energy, there's so much power within you. If you think about a bear, a lot of us are scared of bears because we know how powerful they are. We know how powerful they are. So when it comes to something that you're trying to attain, there may be fears behind it. There may be disbelief in who you really are, what you can become, and what you can attain for yourself. But the thing is you're meant to do that. You are literally meant to do that, group number 5. You're meant to realize that you don't have to be sluggish. You don't have to be weighed down. You don't have to be tired or quote unquote lazy, right? We all have moments of laziness, but what we can do is use that to our advantage. If we notice that we're really lazy when it comes to cleaning, if we just learn to put away things as soon as we take them out, all of a sudden we can use laziness for us. We can realize like, hey, I'm lazy. I'm not gonna put that away later, so let's just put it away right now. And then we learn how to like switch that. We can change that perspective to work for us rather than against us. We can change all perspectives. And then all of a sudden it's gonna slowly bring us towards this unicorn energy. You have both of these energies within you, and both of them are extremely powerful. Both of them are extremely powerful. The bear energy, again, insanely powerful energy, can move mountains, right? But you're meant to become this. You're meant to defy what you believe is possible for you right now. You are meant to defy that. So if you have wild dreams, like if you're like, oh my gosh, I would be living life if all of a sudden I got my life to where I wanted it to be and I was vacationing in the tropics and doing this, doing that, whatever it is that your biggest vision is, that you would love to have for yourself. The unicorn comes up when it tells you that's actually possible, even if you so massively deny it or unsee it or don't see it. So if you don't see it right now, the unicorn comes up to let you know that it is so dang possible. I know I'm repeating myself here, but yeah, basically that's that. Anyway, we pulled a couple more cards to get some more information. There are going to be some center cards revealing more about you and who you are. So we have rejuvenation and love and compassion. So we have the peridot, and the rose quartz. I cannot pronounce that, but these are our cards. And then we again have the unicorn and the bear here. So you are somebody who's supposed to begin loving themselves. And I think that you're going to get to a point of really loving yourself, but it kind of starts with doing the things and dedicating to the things that you've been trying to do for so long. So I think that there's certain stuff, group number 5, that you want to do that they're personal goals for you. So you may have certain personal goals around fitness, eating, health, money, personal stuff, whatever. Like there's personal goals that you have. And as you begin moving towards those, the amount of self-love that you are going to achieve is uncanny. And it's that self-love that is going to bring you to this unicorn phase. And this is going to be what allows you to achieve the impossible. You're a very compassionate person. You're compassionate when it comes to others, but the bear can sometimes be a little bit like self-loathing at times when it's like not utilizing its power and going for what it wants. When a bear wants to become a hunter, there's no doubt it could take down a massive deer or moose or whatever when it comes to, you know, if it's trying to do something. It could really conquer anything it puts its mind to. But bears can also tend to be very lazy and almost like, it's an energy that's tied to self-loathing. So if you feel like that at times, it's time to utilize your power for you, group number 5. The message here to become the unicorn is to start doing the things that you really want to do and realizing that you have more potential within you than you realize. Like the amount of strength that you have there, again, is crazy high. So this is time to start having compassion for yourself, just as you would for others. Like if you had a best friend who was in your position and they wanted some motivation from you, what would you do? How would you cheer them on? Would you tell them like, you can't do it? Or would you be like, you're not good enough anyway, you'll never do it? Would you be like that? Or would you be like, you know what, I believe in you, let's go, let's do it, I want to see you live your best life? Talk to yourself that way and you're going to find a lot more motivation for yourself. We also have rejuvenation. So part of you also really needs to relax and rejuvenate, but not in the way that maybe we have. So rather than just like laying in bed and like doing the same thing over and over again as our form of rejuvenation, if it's not working for you, it's time to change the way of rejuvenating yourself. And the ways that I'm seeing are something that really makes you feel good. So rejuvenation can take many different forms. We can rejuvenate ourselves in a way where it's not very lasting, or we can rejuvenate ourselves. For example, for myself, I like to do like face masks and give myself a spa night. And there's like a spa that I go to where it's only like $30 to go there, and it's like amazing and it's so cool. That's my form of rejuvenation. But anyone can have their own forms of rejuvenation, whatever actually is lasting for you. I notice if I like lay in bed at night and I scroll on my phone rather than like reading a book or something, my level of fulfillment is way lower. And so this is time to fill your stuff with whatever is most fulfilling to you, whatever that is. Okay, the next card we have Leap. You go first, the universe will catch you. So it's time to take a leap of faith and start to jump right into where it is that you want to go, because that's the only way that you're going to get there. So for example, oh my gosh, I'm getting a vision. I was just talking about the spa that I went to, and there's like a cold plunge at this spa that I go to. And one of the things that I had to tell myself, because cold plunging is actually really good for you, it boosts your immune system, like research Wim Hof if you're interested in that, but I'm not saying you need to do that. But for example, I was so hesitant, it would take me forever to get inside of any cold water, and I would just be like, oh my God, it's so hard, oh my God, and it's almost like painful, right? It's like painful to go in there, especially like the cold plunges that I go into. It's like ice baths, it's crazy cold, and it's really hard to get into. And I just had to tell myself one day, I'm just putting myself through more pain, trying to force myself in there slowly. There comes a time where it's just like, if you want to really get in there, you want to really do it, just jump right in. Don't even think about it. Don't even like try to question yourself. Just make a decision. I'm going in there and I'm actually going to just jump in there, because then I don't have a choice. I'm just fully immersed. And you know what I've noticed? It's actually really easy to stay in there when I just jump right in. If I just go right in and I don't question it, and I literally jump in head under everything, and then I come back up, I'm like, actually feels kind of good right now. I feel really refreshed. But if I go in there slowly, it is painful. So if you try to do something slowly, if there's something you want to do, for example, like going to the gym or eating healthy, if we do it slowly and we overthink it, as a painful process. Overthinking is the most painful process that you can do. If you just get up and you just do it, you don't even question it. Just do. Make a decision and do it. Way less pain. And don't even focus on it. Don't even rethink it. Don't even be like, oh, but like, what if I change my mind now? Don't even question it. Leap into it, go for it, do it. And it doesn't necessarily mean do that with all aspects of life. Of course, if there's like a dangerous situation, such as jumping off a cliff, you might want to question that one a little bit. But the things that aren't that dangerous for us, that we feel like are dangerous, for example, like me jumping into a cold plunge, like I know the one at the spa, they keep it safe, it's a safe temperature. So I just jump right in because I know it's safe and I know I can do that. For example, like trying to go to the gym. Don't overthink it, don't question it. When your alarm clock goes off super early because you told yourself you're going to go to the gym that day, don't overthink it. That is the most painful process you can put yourself through, because then you're questioning it and you're like, frick, I should go. And then you're like, oh, but I'm tired. Yes, let's sleep. And then you're then feeling the guilt of not going. And then you're like, oh, but I should go. You're taking this time, and it's such a painful process, right? So whatever you want to do, whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? I keep using gym and like, you know, cold plunges as examples, but this could apply to any aspect of your life, right? So this is about leaping right in there. Don't question it. Questioning, again, is the most painful process. That is the hardest part. But if you wake up at 5 a.m. and you're like, I made that decision, I am not questioning it. I'm not even going to overthink my tiredness, not going to overthink anything. I'm just going to do it. And guess what? If you have a bad time and you realize that you're overtired, we can change something up the next time. Then we can realize like, didn't have enough energy for work because I did wake up too early. Then we can adjust things. We can either decide, oh, I'm going to go to bed earlier, or maybe I'm going to change it and go to the gym after work. You know, we could change things up and adjust them. But when you make a decision, stick to a decision. You know what I mean? As long as you know that it's obviously safe for you to do so. So yes, don't over question it. We're taught to over question a lot of things, which is good. It's helped us survive and not jump off of cliffs. You know what I mean? But sometimes we tend to over question the things that we know are actually good for us, such as like eating healthy. And then we're like, but DoorDash would be fun tonight. Like, and then we overthink it. And then we're like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do it? That is such it ends up wasting our time. It ends up causing a lot of like internal conflict, and it's difficult. So those are the moments where it's like we need to leap into the best decision for us. So begin leaping into the best decision for you. If you go to bed and you're like, oh, I'm really tired, I just want to scroll on TikTok, but you had plans to read a book, just be like, you know what, I'm tired, so I'm going to read a page in my book and then fall asleep from that. So don't question the good things for you. Don't question them. Do them. Just do it. Don't overthink it. So that's a message there. The next few cards that we have Page of Swords being reversed. This is the overthinking that I'm talking about. So this is representing, again, the old you, so the bear energy right now. And the Page of Swords being reversed is kind of when we get down on ourselves and we can end up bad talking ourselves. We can end up being harsh on ourselves. We may be harsh on the external world. Our mentality may feel like it's going against us. It may feel like our own mind is stabbing us in the back. So if you feel that way, again, this is where self-love and compassion, would you speak that way to your best friend? Probably not. So it's time to change the way we talk to ourselves, time to also begin pushing ourselves in the direction we really want to go. And it doesn't have to be that hard. A choice is something that happens in an instant, but we tend to overthink our choices. That's why they take a long time, right? But choices actually happen in an instant. I can make a choice right now. I'm gonna go to the gym after this. I can make that choice, and as long as I just make the choice and I'm so sure of myself, I don't have to overthink it, I don't have to question it. It doesn't have to be a long choice. But sometimes we tend to overthink things. But if you know that something's good for you, if you know it's good for you, write it down, tell yourself, that's it, that's what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. If other things come up, just as if, you know, you had something else important going on, treat it as a very important thing, and that way it'll stay important for you. We also have the Four of Swords coming up. So this is the card that deals with overthinking as well, but this is also a card of replanning and meditating. So this is also a card of telling you that your transition from the bear into the unicorn is going to come through meditation on visualizing what you really want your life to be like and meditating on that, thinking about it. What do you really want your life to be like? And like, let's go for it. Let's freaking go for it. Okay, so this is planning things out, revising your plan of action. So if we have goals we want to get to, what's a practical way of getting there? Three of Cups is coming up as well. So celebrating your small progress and also celebrating you. I'm really seeing this as celebrating you. I see the person that you're coming into is somebody who is so used to celebrating themselves that it feels good. And you might even be listening to this right now being like, I'm not one to celebrate myself. Like, how egotistical, or like, how weird. Some of you may be thinking that. But what I mean about celebrating yourself is waking up in the morning and feeling like, I am so accomplished. I feel good. I'm excited to take today off. I'm excited to go out for brunch with my friends and like cheers to like the good times that I just created and the success that I just had. Like, I see you really being able to celebrate yourself and feeling so proud of yourself, and also a lot of support from other people in your life as well as you begin to go in this direction and do the things that you truly want to do. Sometimes we don't get support right away on the stuff that we want to do sometimes, but I really see you gaining tons of support along your journey in this new direction. And I'm seeing you really celebrating like some big milestones along the way of like, oh my God, you know what I'm seeing, group number 5 in this card? These 3 cups remind me of something. So for example, your first milestone of you reaching some success, it may not be your full vision yet, okay? So this cup is like your full vision, right? Let's pretend that this last cup is like your end goal. So it's like you gain some sort of success and you're like, wow, guys, look at this. Like, this is crazy. And you're feeling so proud of yourself. So you go out and celebrate it. You're feeling really good and it's super exciting. And then you're already, even at this cup, you're already like, can you believe I did this? Like, can you even believe it? But then you don't even realize that there's another milestone waiting for you and you keep going because there's this feeling of motivation and proudness that you have about your progress. So then you keep going because it's very motivating and exciting for you. And then you get to the next cup and you're like, guys, oh my God, like, can you believe I got it here now? Like, this is crazy. Isn't this amazing? And you're feeling so excited about it. And then after that, you get to another one, and then you get to that end goal and you're like, can you believe I made it to this end goal? Because this end goal may seem really out of sight for you when you're starting over here. This end goal may seem so far away, but the thing is you're making progress on the way there. I see you making progress on the way there, and you're so excited for all these milestones that it just keeps pushing you forward more and more, and then all of a sudden, before you even know it, you're already at your goal, and you're like, oh my God, I did not even realize that this was possible. It is becoming more and more possible for you every day that you make those steps and you make those changes. It is coming closer and closer to you every single day. So literally what you believe is impossible for you right now, I see you achieving, group number 5. I see you achieving the impossible vision that you wish that you could attain. I literally see you achieving that. So, the amount of energy that I have right now, even just reading this, is insanely amazing. So anyway, we also have the Hierophant being reversed, and the Hierophant being reversed is needing to reevaluate your values. So whatever values that you have right now that may be holding you back, because maybe right now you value comfort over achievement. So we've been falling back into our comforts rather than our health, because maybe comforts right now bring us more value than health, but then focusing on our health. Because you know what's interesting, I notice a lot of people struggle with, and I always use fitness and exercise as an example because I feel like we all have seen the results of that. We all are aware of those things, and so it's just a really common example. So I really like to use it as a metaphor for like all the different things that we could do, right? But for example, if we truly like value comfort so much because we live a very stressed out life, so we fall into comfort foods easily, but yet we have health goals because we know that the way that we're eating is unhealthy and we know that we need to change. The Hierophant reversed comes up to tell us and remind us that we are valuing the wrong thing. We're not actually valuing our end goal enough to make it happen. So when we value our comfort more than we value our health, we fall into eating a bag of chips every night, eating chocolate cake, eating cookies, eating this, eating that, because it brings us the comfort and it helps us decrease our stress. That's why they're called comfort foods, right? So if we value comfort more than we value health, we are always going to choose the cookies and chips before we choose our health. But if we begin to value our health over comfort and we realize that, you know what, me eating this salad is not going to bring me the food comfort that I'm looking for, and I may still feel stressed out, but I know that this is a healthier option for me. If we begin valuing that way more and we realize that, hey, I don't want to get cancer when I'm older, I don't want to deal with like obesity, I don't want to deal with heart disease. If we start thinking about those things, and we realize that that would bring us way more stress than whatever we're currently dealing with, if we realize that, we can make changes in the current moment. Because I bet you, you know, if any of us, which God forbid, hopefully none of us get to that point, right? But if some of us get a health issue, or if, you know, for example, if I got a health issue, I know that that would bring me way more stress than anything I would currently be dealing with in my life. Like, I know that that would bring me way more stress. So for me, I try very consciously to be like, you know what? I know I'm stressed right now, but I'm going to avoid this bad snack over here and I'm going to make myself a salad, which I don't always do that. Sometimes I cave in. I'm human too. But like, that's something I personally really strive for and try to do, is to eat healthier and healthier, because I know that I don't want to deal with the stress of health issues. You know what I mean? So, and obviously that highly increases depending on our diet. So for example, it depends what you value. So if you value coming home and decompressing in a certain way and not working on a big project that you want, if you value that more than the end result of a big project, the project will always be put on the back burner and it'll likely never get done. So it depends what you value. We need to change our values if we want to change our life. We need to change whatever we value more. So anyway, with that being said, let's get into the next two cards. Higher perspective, getting a higher perspective on things. This helps us transform our values when we can see things from a higher perspective. Many of us fall for short-term gratification, such as grabbing a bag of chips and eating that as a comfort food, rather than choosing the healthy meal for long-term satisfaction and long-term fulfillment. So getting a higher perspective will help you see what you truly value and the choices you should make today. I know when I eat a salad right now, I don't feel tons healthier, but it compounds over time. So if I eat healthy things, and I'm not saying you only have to eat salads to be healthy. There's of course a lot of healthy things that you could do. I even make like healthy tacos that are actually like literally healthy, but you just change a few of the ingredients for it to actually be healthy, and it can be a healthy taco. But anyway, you can make it fun still. But when you like look at things from a higher perspective, you begin to see where we are giving up long-term satisfaction and long-term fulfillment for short-term pleasures. And when we can get that higher perspective on things, we can see things from a different way. And then that's when we realize like, I need to change my choices. I need to change my life. And so I'm really seeing you being able to get a higher perspective on life and see things in a totally different way. And we also have patience. So this is coming up. The great example of patience is like starting to go to the gym. If you go to the gym once and you try to look at yourself in the mirror and you're just like, okay, but like I look the same. Most likely you're gonna look the same, maybe even after a month, maybe even after 3 months. But I noticed for myself when I started like going to the gym really consistently. I used to work out tons as a kid and do like gymnastics and dancing and all these different things. But then as I got to be an adult, I was like, well, I don't really do gymnastics and dancing anymore. And so I didn't really know forms of exercise. And if you put me in the gym, I wouldn't know what to do at all. Like I literally didn't know how to use the equipment because I just never done that before. And so I had kind of lost some of my like physical health because of that. And when I started going to the gym, I was looking for results right away, and I didn't really notice like many results until about 3 months in. But I mean, I needed to stay dedicated to it for a whole 3 months. I tried working out periodically for a year, no changes. You need to like dedicate, and that's where this patience card comes in. If you have a goal, whatever it is, fitness, health, personal, career goals, financial goals, buying a house goals, whatever goals that you have in your life, they require some patience to get there. You may not notice results right away. So a lot of us fall on the map, off the map. So for example, me going to the gym only periodically for an entire year because I didn't really know how to use the equipment again. So I didn't really know what I was doing there. And so me going like only like 4 times a month to the gym, it didn't do any transformation for me. And I was like, why are people even going to the gym? Like, do I need to go to the gym for 10 years to get results? Not the case. You can go to the gym like 3 times a week, but I mean, you need to push yourself those 3 times a week for 3 months. And that is where I personally noticed tons of results. Well, not tons. After 3 months, I noticed like a decent amount of results where I was getting like kind of more motivated to go to the gym. And I was like, I think this is actually like causing something different here. I was like, ooh, what's going on? You know? And so it sometimes takes a while to see movement and to see progress, especially when it comes to long-term goals, because long-term goals usually take a lot more work to get off the ground, such as eating healthy, going to the gym, working on a big goal of yours, career goal, saving up money, whatever. It's something that compounds over time, and it's usually slow growth at first, but it compounds over time. That is where this patience card comes in. I see you as transforming to somebody who has a lot more patience and has a higher perspective on what you truly want. What you truly want are possibly more long-term goals that may take a lot more work, but it's the work that kind of puts us at a detriment because we sometimes just give up, right? Because we think like, it's not for me. I tried and it didn't work. I tried going to the gym for a whole year and it didn't work for me. And I was like, guys, this is dumb. And then I finally got a trainer who was like, you're doing it all wrong. That's why you're not seeing results. And I was like, oh, not saying that you need a trainer. I probably could have watched videos online to get the same information. But I mean, that's what I ended up doing, and I don't regret it. I had a great trainer. But like, that's when you see results. That is when you begin seeing results. So with that being said, we're also gonna shuffle these other cards here to get more information on your group. But all I can say, group 5, is you're meant to be the unicorn energy that defies what is possible. You're meant to be this unicorn energy where people are going to be looking at you and they're going to be like, that doesn't make sense. How did you do that? I don't understand it. And you're going to be able to like lift some magic on this planet and like, you know, tell people like, hey, what you think is impossible is not actually impossible. It's very much real and exists. Okay. Oh, look we have putting in the work, putting in the effort and putting in the work. You are meant to be somebody who puts in the effort and puts in the work. It's difficult sometimes, but like, hey, it does work. That's the thing. That's why it's called work, because it works. So putting in the work works. We also have feather. This is listening to this has come up for almost every group. Can I just say feather, I think, has come up for pretty much every group so far. This is listening to those subtle nuances. You may be getting subtle intuitive feelings, maybe getting subtle internal feelings of like, I know I need to do this. I know I need to do this. I feel like there's been little whispers that keep going on in your mind being like, please start doing this. Please start doing this. And this is that unicorn wanting to come out. This is your internal unicorn wanting to come out. This is who you really are meant to be, trying to get you going, okay? So there's these little feathers that are trying to, you know, guide you in this new direction. You've been feeling it, and this is the unicorn again, waiting to be awakened. We also have the tree, and I always give the same example with the tree, is that a crazy big tree starts from a single seed. Your single seed of a desire, so any desire that you have that starts off as a single thought. A seed is almost like a thought, right? It's a little seed in our mind. We can choose to plant that seed. We can choose to plant that idea, plant that thought, and give it the proper care and nurture and dedication that it needs. And it can sprout into a whole self-sustaining tree, which can eventually turn into a whole forest, because that tree will make other seeds. That tree will also have propagations from its roots turning into other trees and can turn into an entire forest. And it begins working for you because it compounds over time. So even though you need to put in a lot of care and effort in the beginning to make a seed become something, it eventually becomes self-sustaining and then creates all more growth, where you don't even have to put in effort for those other trees because they just naturally happen, right? So that is sort of what I'm seeing here for you, all about who you're meant to become and who you're meant to be, you know? And it's like, it's something that can start working for you, but we need to, again, put in that effort in the beginning. But you have that potential within you, group 5. You have such big potential there with that unicorn energy, and that is who you're meant to be. Whoo! Group 5. So, yes. That is all about who you're meant to be. What a powerful reading. I hope you enjoyed it, group number 5. And if you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos like this in the future, because I would love to have you there. And hopefully I see you in my next one. Bye.